Hello, and welcome to yet another Great Ace Attorney stream. I didn't get to go as late as I wanted to last night, so we're starting off in the middle of the investigation segment of our second case. I think I just want to load because I saved. Yeah. We were in the middle of the adventure of the Speckled Band, and we had just done a gay little dance with Herlock Sholmes and uncovered this cross-dresser's true identity. So that was what we did. Also, our boyfriend is dead. That sucks. That's pretty sad. She pretended to be a man with a beard. She is, in fact, a ballerina, but she's still Russian. Oh god, I'm being thrown right back into doing voices. Okay. Oh god, what voice did I give her? I have to do like a girly Russian accent. Hang on, this is hard. Ahem. My real name is Nikolina Pavlova. Everything you said was correct. You absconded during one of your ballet company's performances in order to escape your homeland. Later that same night, you stole aboard this vessel, which couldn't have been easy. The Buria is a huge steamship with a vast crew. Could you really have snuck on board without being noticed? In order to obscure your true identity, you somewhat recklessly took the guise of an old gentleman. And you intended to sever all links with your past by severing your long hair. I don't know why she didn't do that first. It was like sticking out of the back of her wig. How did no one notice? Yet to a woman, hair's no trifling matter. My personal recommendation... Oh, sorry, I broke into like Foghorn Leghorn there for a second. My personal recommendation... But, he's not the guy from Knives Out. He's just Sholmes. My personal recommendation is to leave well alone. So, if it was just you about to cut off your own hair, who was it that let out the scream we heard from outside the cabin? The veritable tinkling of a bell. Why, none other than this young lady, naturally. More like a full set of pipes, if you ask me. I was so scared when I ran away in Shanghai. I was sure they would come looking for me. It's hard to do. I don't know why I'm having a hard time doing Russian, but like girly. That's why I decided to, how do you say, disguise myself, so no one would recognize me. As a result, you transformed yourself into that questionable old man? I see. I put on the fur hat and fake beard? Then, just before you came in here, I saw the newspaper. Right on the page, there was a picture of me. I was so frightened, I couldn't stop from screaming. Just got this in the mail, looking forward to it, so I'm lurking in order to not be spoiled. That sounds like a good idea. If you are a mystery enthusiast and do not want to be spoiled on the mysteries, then you should perhaps avoid. I knew that if I didn't change my appearances completely, they would find me. So I decided to cut all my hair as fastly as possible. I picked up the scissors in my hand and... At that precise moment, we walked in through the annoyingly unlocked cabin door. What is with Sholmes? He just wanted to break down a door, but it was unlocked. Things happen like that sometimes, don't they? Things do indeed happen like that, from time to time. Are those two even talking about the same thing? There's just one more thing I'd like to know. What exactly do you have inside your traveling case? You were right. It is my dear friend inside. My only friend in the whole world. Please, don't tell anyone. If the captain finds out, if you had it say to any of the crew. Your secret is safe with us, I assure you. But in return, you must tell us, in as much detail as you can muster, about the events of last night. Yes, alright. I will tell you. Well, Mr. Naruhodo? Wasn't it something Mr. Sholmes' great deduction? It was certainly something, yes. I'm just not entirely sure what. But at least Miss Pavlova has agreed to tell us what she knows. That's incredible. Indeed, it is incredible. Ah, and one more thing. Oh, yes? What? Observe your wrists. What? Oh no, he put the handcuffs back on. He did the same trick last night where he surprised us by taking them off somehow without us noticing, and he did it again. Ah, your hands are cuffed again. What? But how? True to my word, I have restored your shackles. When and why? There is still a shadow of guilt cast over you, Mr. Naruhodo. I'm sorry to say, it can't be helped at the moment. Can't be helped? Can it really? Anyway, let's listen to what Miss Pavlova has to say. I can't go on not knowing. I have to find out what the speckled band that Kazuma-sama wrote about in his diary really was. Well, we have to talk to her. Did you notice that someone was killed in the cabin next door to this one last night? One of the crewmen told me this morning when I was eating breakfast. The man who died, he was a friend of mine. Oh! That's why we're trying to find out what happened. Did you notice anything unusual last night? Perhaps you heard a strange noise, for example. Perhaps people talking? Perhaps the ship was absorbed in a wild tempest. Perhaps its steam engine exploded. Perhaps everyone on board would have noticed if that had happened. Miss Pavlova, is there anything you can tell us? I don't know. I'm sorry, but all I could think about last night was what I had done and whether they would find me. I didn't notice anything that was happening around me. Oh, I see. That's very convenient for you to just not pay attention? You've run away from your ballet company, haven't you? The Novovich Ballet? Yes. I am traveling to Great Britain, and from there, I want to go to America. I will never dance again. I want to forget everything about the ballet. I will start a new life. You wish to forget? A challenging proposition. When you have that striking tiara as a reminder. But the tiara is mine. I need it to live. I have no money of my own. The Novovich Ballet gives us only a little food and water, and we must dance all over the world. I had to run away. I had no choice. If I stayed, it would have killed me. So you ran away to protect yourself? Yes, and the crew of this ship, they have all been kind to me. They let me come on board, and they said I could hide in this cabin. I thought she said she snuck on board. Like, secretly. Maybe the crew are in on it, though, I guess. So she, like, lives with the ballet? They don't, like, it's not like a job? Is that how ballet companies worked back in the day? If that is indeed the truth, Miss Pavlova, it creates a most intriguing conundrum. Yes, it does. What do you think about it, Mr. Naruhodo? Me? Oh, well, yes, of course. I think we should hear Miss Pavlova's explanation. To what conundrum, I'm not sure, but... Tell me about this conundrum. I don't know anything about it. Miss Pavlova, allow me to pose you a riddle. According to this newspaper, it was only yesterday that you absconded from the ballet. Now, that being the case, it must have been last night that you boarded this vessel. However, the SS Buria stopped by no port last night. Ah, that's it, of course. So how is it, pray, that you came aboard? Now that I think about it, the crewmen outside the cabin acted very strangely when we mentioned that. It was just after we asked him about when that occupant of this cabin came aboard. In fact, the big book outside that we examined yesterday, where the crew writes down everything that happens on the ship, didn't mention stopping anywhere last night either. That is not your business. Yeah, you're right. He did seem to be hiding something. An angel descended from the heavens, bringing grace and beauty to the stage. Sorry, what was that? It is how the Russian newspapers described one of my performances. And that is how I came here too. I descended from the heavens, because I am an angel. Okay, sure, I buy it. Considering English isn't your mother tongue, your description is very vivid. Mr. Sholmes once said, I never can resist a touch of the dramatic. It seems Miss Pavlova is the same. A genius descended from the heavens, bringing grace and beauty to detection. Woods once said about myself. A quote from a wonderfully extravagant advertisement for The Adventures of Sherlock Sholmes, in fact. Yes, Mr. Shoei. Anyway, it doesn't look like Miss Pavlova is going to tell us what really happened. Hi, Ars. Thank you for the raid. We're playing Great Ace Attorney. We're hanging out with Sherlock Sholmes. Completely original character, Sherlock Sholmes. No relation to any other character in fiction. Just original detective Sherlock Sholmes. So the friend you mentioned is inside your traveling case, is that right? Oh, also, to new raiders, we have a funny little stream goal going on. If you want me to objectify Catboys, consider the donation goal for Nekapara Catboys Paradise. I don't think animals are allowed on board according to the rules of passage. Oh, please, don't tell. Don't tell any of the crew. If they found my precious, then the burly Russians would bestir themselves in unison to throw you and your case overboard, no doubt. Red Wings, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the Rose Rabbit Army. Ah, so reassuring, Mr. Sholmes. Also, I like reading out loud, so please look forward to more of my funny accents. But what sort of pet is your friend? A little puppy? Is it? It is, isn't it? This Pavlova is supposed to be Russian. Because she has a funny hat. Maybe an adorable little rabbit? No, you couldn't fit a rabbit in that case. They're too big and round. Ha! You credit Russia as a land with small rabbits, do you? Oh, don't they have small rabbits there then? You may well ask. I have no idea. Huh. You two are miserable bunglers when it comes to understanding the nature of young ballerina's friends. Isn't it obvious? It must be a chicken. Really? Yeah, that makes sense. Russians are known to carry chickens around with them. Consider the benefits. A rousing wake-up call, daily fresh eggs. And when adversity strikes, it could satisfy the needs of sustenance. So you'd eat your friends. I'll remember that. Well, it would appear this friend's identity is a closely guarded secret not to be revealed. Ah ha 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 ha. Feel like Shu Takumi couldn't, like, just, actually show this guy taking drugs, so he just made it act like he's high on something all the time. She obviously doesn't quite trust us yet. There's something I should like to show her, I think. Maybe she might be able to shed some light on it. Ah yes, of course. What else but my university pin? Oh, I just realized I forgot to put mine on. Hang on. There you go. There we go. You always have to show people the pin. I'm actually a university student from the Empire of Japan, you see. That means nothing to me. No, why would it? You always gotta show them the pin, it's important. Mr. Naruhodo, if you're determined to flaunt your Yume badge, at least choose a Japanese person who might recognize it. Miss Susato, can I show you this? Maybe later. Oh, I could show Inspector Hosanaga, too. Anyways. This is the diary of my friend who passed away. His diary? Yes, and he wrote in it last night before he died. Something a little unusual. It reads, 1:23 a.m. I can hear a faint whistling sound. And then, a few minutes later, 1:35 a.m. What looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. A speckled band? I don't understand. It's strange, isn't it? But the ventilator he mentioned joins to this cabin, you see. It's up there on the wall. In other words, this cabin and the victim's cabin are connected together. Oh! Miss Pavlova? Has something occurred to you? Does the speckled band the victim mentioned mean something to you? Or the whistling sound, perhaps? She's definitely hiding something. I'm sure of it. No. I don't know anything. Oh. Yeah, that's the face of a person telling the truth. Excuse me, Mr. Roylott. Wow, she changed back into it so fast. Yes, what? Wow, she's fast. I'm gonna guess she's very good at disguising her voice, too. Mopping up. Thank you for the follow. Captain would like to speak with you. You must come to Captain's quarters at once, please. Alright, I will come now. What? You must leave, now. Oh no, it's fine. Don't mind us. Yes, please don't worry yourself, Mr. Roylott. Get out! The passenger said out! Or do you want me to throw you out? It looks like we'll have to leave investigating this cabin until later. What a pity. She gets very mean when she puts the beard on. And so we lost our chance. Having still not managed to investigate Miss Pavlova's cabin, we were unceremoniously chased out. That is to say, we were quite literally picked up and thrown into the passageway outside. Imagining this Russian dude, like, picking all three of them up, like, under his arms. He is a large man. 9th January. The SS Buria, first class cabin passageway. I wish we hadn't been thrown out like that. I wish we'd managed to find some clues as to what that speckled band might be. I don't think it's a snake this time. We didn't manage to investigate at all. And I imagine that we won't be able to for a while longer. We'll never get past that sailor guarding the door. How am I enjoying British German? Don't call her like that, please. British German. Sherlock? No. He's clearly glaring at us, as if to say, don't even think about it. Oh, wait a minute. What is it? Well, what happened to our great detective friend? Where did he go? Oh yes, he's completely disappeared. When did he do that? He slipped away as quietly as the wind, but not before ensuring these were securely back on my wrists. Well, this guy won't talk to us. I really wish we'd had a chance to look around in Miss Pavlova's cabin. I forgot this guy's name was Biff Stroganoff. What? Why you look like that? You want something? Hmm? Maybe you want me to throw you out again, hmm? Oh no! Definitely not that! Next time I have to throw you out, I show you where lobsters spend winter. Understand? Understand. Maybe I should steer clear of him until he's forgotten my face. I don't think he'll ever forget your face, Naruhodo-san. I don't think there's anything else to investigate in here. Wait. The door leads to the second-class area. It's locked. I can't open it. No, well, that stands to reason. No one wants to let the murderer escape. Gosh, she gave me a very stern look when she said that. Poor Ryunosuke keeps getting accused of murder. Like, every time, every case so far, he's 2 for 2. First class cabin number 1. Yes, that's our cabin. Not our cabin, it's Kazuma-sama's. Sorry? Your accommodation is confined to the wardrobe inside the cabin. You know how to make a stowaway feel small, don't you? As small as the wardrobe I've been calling home. Anyway, I wonder if Inspector Hosonaga has managed to uncover any new clues. Yes, we should probably find him and ask. January 9th, Espa first class cabin number 1. It looks like they're still investigating in here. Yes, on that subject, I wonder if Inspector Hosonaga is unscathed. What do you mean, unscathed? Sorry, I broke for a second. I had to figure it out. Thank you. I fixed myself. Only I can fix me. What do you mean, unscathed? Surely you haven't forgotten, have you, Naruhodo-san? Don't you remember what he said about allowing you out of this cabin to investigate? He was going to talk to the captain about it. He said he'd lay his life on the line for you. Oh, yes, but I'm sure he was exaggerating. Let's see what he has to say for himself. He might have some new information for us. You never know. We already examined everything in this room. Wait, why is this new? So it's clear that these letters were written with the ink that was somehow spilled on the floor, and they spell the Russian word for wardrobe. It does seem to be an unambiguous pointer to you, Naruhodo-san, as you were sleeping in there. But to be truly unambiguous, it should have just spelt out my name, don't you think? Well, either way, one fact remains. It's hard to imagine that Kazuma-sama would have written his last words, or word, in Russian. Which begs the question of who did write it. We've got it all in this one, chat. We've got a locked room mystery. We've got the victim spelling his last words out in ink on the floor. Sometimes it's blood, but you know. Where did you go? Oh, sorry, I just went out to the next door cabin to investigate. Why? Who gave you permission for this? Well, Seaman Hosonaga did. That new Japanese, was it? Later, I will roll him into ball and throw him in cold room. Just trying to fold him. Phew, he's gone back to guarding the door. I hope Inspector Hosonaga doesn't find himself in too much trouble on our account. He's really gone out of his way to help us, hasn't he? When we get back to Japan, we'll have to take him for a steak at La Carnival. That could be a very long time from now, Naruhodo-san. Oh, there he is. This is where Kazuma-sama spent his there's no Sama that time, sorry. This is where Kazuma spent his final moments writing his diary. 1:23 a.m. I can hear a faint whistling sound. 1:35 a.m. What looks like someone's sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. Looking at his writing here on this page, it's almost impossible to believe that he's gone. Kazuma-sama left us a valuable clue in these words, I'm sure of it. We have to solve this mystery, Naruhodo-san. We will! Okay, let's talk to Hosonaga. Oh god. He did get folded. Ah, you're back. Inspector! What happened to you? Your face is... Please, don't worry about it. They're just scratches. Made by a bear, maybe? When I told the captain that I'd given you permission to investigate, he told me he'd pummel me with his fists and then toss me overboard. What? But the pummeling was over in a flash, and he must have decided against throwing me overboard. So it was nothing, really. It looks like he wasn't joking when he'd say his life on his line if he had to. Well, thanks to your efforts, we now know a little bit about the neighboring cabin. Yes, so I understand. Oh. I bumped into a man claiming to be a great detective a little while ago. I think his name was something like Herlock Sholmes? I don't think he was German, though. Ah, that explains it. Shall we compare notes, then? We can tell you what we found out. Yes, let's do it. This guy's always excited about about investigating stuff. What? Nikolina Pavlova? She's in the cabin next door? Oh, do you know who she is? Please, what self-respecting ballet fan wouldn't know that graceful angel? Oh, he's dying again. Oops, I think I upset him there. Well, that tells us the neighboring cabin is unrelated to the case, at least. Oh, how? Because angels don't go around committing crimes, do they? Oops, now I've definitely upset him. Inspector, has your investigation in here proved fruitful? If I'm honest, there's very little more I can do. Our duty is to make sure the scene isn't disturbed, ready to hand over to the Hong Kong police. So I'm just keeping watch here, trying not to take my eyes off the job. Oh, I see. Ah, there is one thing. I do have a small piece of new information for you. Oh, what? Yes, do tell us, Inspector, please. What is this new information you have, Inspector? It's this. The Buria's medical officer has finished his examination of the body. I managed to obtain the report. Oh, Kazuma's post-mortem report? Kazuma-sama. So, what was the cause of death? Damage to the cervical vertebrae is what's written in the report. His neck was broken? Yes, it would seem so. Huh. There were no obvious wounds or other signs of injury. So at first, I think they were considering poison. But it turns out they found no trace of poison in his system at all. See, I was thinking it was poison at first, too. I was thinking it was poison, too, but I guess not. His neck was broken. Well, what weapon was used then? Nothing has been found as yet, but the fact there are no signs of a wound suggests it may have been a blunt object, something that wouldn't leave a mark. Oh, I see. All the body's nerves run through the spine to the brain. A strong enough impact to the neck could induce death. It is a possibility, and no obvious wound would be left. That's really specific, but you know, this is Ace Attorney. Yeah, the speckled band in the original story was a venomous snake. That's why I thought it was some sort of poison. And I don't feel... It's not really a spoiler to say that, because the intro to this case, like, quotes the Sherlock Holmes story that the Speckled Band is from. It tells you it was a snake. And I think that's kind of like a misdirect. I don't think there's really a snake in this one. Poor Kazuma. I have a second copy of the report. If it might be useful, you're welcome to have it. Really? Are you sure? Yes, it's fine. I trust you. After all, if I didn't trust you, I'd never agreed to you leaving the cabin in the first place, would I? It would be funny if it was a constrictor instead and it broke his neck. But I think that would have left a mark, right? Because it would have, like, wrapped around his neck. I don't think there's a snake at all. Unless, you know, Pavlova has a snake in her suitcase. Report from the SS Buria's medical officer giving the cause of death as a cervical spine injury. There were no traces of external injury or poison. Oh, Mr. Sholmes was here, wasn't he? Yes. He seemed to be enjoying himself a little too much as he crept about on the floor investigating. But then he suddenly left. I suppose he must have become bored. Did he say anything at all? Actually, now you mention it, yes. Just one thing, but he practically shouted it. It's shoe polish, was all he said. Shoe polish? I wonder what he meant. Oh, I know what he means. It's the stain on the floor there. It was when he was over there, by the piece of broken glass. Do you see? Ah, perhaps he was talking about this brick-colored mark, do you think? Yeah, that's what I thought too, as soon as I heard shoe polish. Ah, yes, that must be it. But how could Mr. Sholmes know that it's shoe polish? That leaves me cold, I'm afraid. I have no idea. What is it, Suzato-san? Well, Kazuma-sama was wearing leather shoes with a very dark tan hue. Dark tan? Sort of dark brownish red, then. Yes, a little like the color of red wine, but darker. I often prepared them for him. Oh, does this mean that this mark was made by the polish on Kazuma's shoes as they scuffed the floor? Interesting. I'm curious about the piece of glass. They said it looked like one of the bell clasps on that type of Japanese like ceremonial dress, but it's like cut in half, and we can't find the other half. I wonder where it went. That's really all I can tell you at this stage. I should return to my post. My fellow crewmen's eyes are boring into the back of my head. Yes, that might be for the best. Thank you. Poor Inspector. You look exhausted. Oh, no. Well... I feel terrible that I failed to protect Asogi-san. No, no. Listen, we already have a lot of racist people in this game. We don't need Justin Trudeau. The shoe polish isn't for that. Don't worry. I feel terrible that I failed to protect Asogi-san. He was my responsibility. Of course, my pain is nothing compared to yours. You were his friends. The truth is, I seem to have had a heavy head ever since I woke this morning. A heavy head? That's interesting. My head's still throbbing too. I get the feeling that maybe someone slipped something in everybody's food that would make them extra sleepy. Let's examine this again, now that we know it's shoe polish. It really is such a beautiful color, this glass. It looks like whatever was broken and cleaned in two. But the other half is nowhere to be seen. And then there's the brick-colored mark, which is shoe polish, according to that great detective you seem to know all about. I suppose it must be from Kazuma-sama's shoes. Maybe, but what I'd like to know is, how can the detective be so sure that it's shoe polish and not something else? Because he's a great detective, of course. That's hardly a reason, is it? I guess we gotta go back out here. There's nowhere else to go. In the first-class cabin passageway. Ah! Look, Naruhodo-san! Seaman Stroganov is gone. Strong enough? The burly Russian sailor who's crossing his arms and glaring at us. Ah, all these Russian names are impossible to remember. I don't know, I feel like the name Biff Stroganov is very distinctive. Ow. I bumped myself, sorry. Tra-la-la. What? Who's... Did you hear that? It sounded like someone... Your son is also named Biff? That's interesting. It sounded like someone singing. It's just... Sholmes? This caroling. I know that lark-like voice. Well, never mind that now. This is a golden opportunity for us. Yes, you're right. We must seize it. Let's go inside Miss Pavlova's cabin while we can and investigate. Definitely. Before that Stringy Knot crewman comes back. It's Stroganov, not Stringy Knot. Is it gonna do this every time we move somewhere? Miss Pavlova isn't back yet. Suzato-san. Oh! Where's she gone? Hey, what are you doing? Those are her private things. That's not a moment to waste, Naruhodo-san. We must investigate as quickly as we can. I suppose you're right. For Kazuma's sake. This game feels like it uses the 3D models a lot better than 5 does. Not just for Kazuma-sama. What do you mean? It can't be long now until we arrive at port, in Hong Kong. I don't want you to be in those handcuffs when we get there. Really? We must solve this case, Naruhodo-san. By ourselves if we have to. Yes, we will! Okay. Let's see what's going on in here now. There's one of these next to the bed in Kazuma's cabin, too. Yes, it's a bell cord. I can't resist! She barely hesitated there, and she gave it a good tug, too. No, I didn't actually expect anyone to come. We didn't want them to. We're trying to investigate in secret. So this ventilator connects to Kazuma's cabin next door. Yes, although, what a fool a shipbuilder must be to open a ventilator into another room. Ah, maybe. It's so that if there's a gas leak next door, the occupant of this cabin would notice and raise the alarm. Or the occupants of both cabins would die of gas poisoning. That is a possibility. Gas. Anyway, last night, Kazuma wrote that he saw a speckled band coming out of his ventilator. Dun-dun-dun. Dun-dun-dun-dun. Naruhodo-san, are you there? Sorry? I'm right here, yes. Why? Oh, God. I thought you might have climbed into the wardrobe when I wasn't looking. There's no place like home. Believe me, I don't have some strange compulsion to jump inside every wardrobe I see, you know. Well, anyway, I'm not sure anyone could fit inside this one. It's full of beautiful outfits. I suppose they're all stage costumes. I was rather hoping we might find Miss Pavlova's friend hiding in there, but no such luck. This cabin door has the same simple sort of bolted latch as that our cabin door has. If the bolt's drawn across, there's no way anybody could enter the cabin from outside. Yes, it's not a particularly heavy-duty bolt, is it? But still, it wouldn't slide across of its own accord, would it? Yeah, apparently Sholmes just likes to jump into the... Yeah, yesterday he just jumped into this wardrobe to take a nap. He said he was resting. Apparently that's just what he likes to do. No, and the door is made of metal, so there's no chance of trickery using magnets to unbolt it from the outside. And it seals up perfectly, too, to stop any seawater coming in. So you couldn't use the method you told me of passing a thread through a crack around the closed door, either. I seem to know a lot of tricks for opening doors. I'm starting to see why they suspect me. Ah yes, they're displayed in this cabin too, look. The SS Buria's rules of passage. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden. I suppose Miss Pavlova realized she needed to keep the contents of her case a secret after she read this. Her special friend, I mean. I wonder where her friend has disappeared to now. It's probably having fun exploring the ship, I imagine. Uh-oh. I just hope Seaman Stroganoff doesn't find it and throws it overboard. Oh, yes, so do I. All the books have toppled over together, look. Every single one. Do you think that's a god of the sea, perhaps? He's toppled too, though. It's exactly the same as the bookcase next door, in Kazuma's cabin. Perhaps Miss Pavlova was practicing a difficult ballet pose and fell against the bookcase? I don't know. Would she really be practicing ballet on the same night she ran away from her ballet company? Alright then. It must have been you. You lost your temper and knocked them all over in a fit of rage. Not everything bad that happens on this ship is because of me, you know. Well, anyway, I'll set them all straight again in here, too. I don't like seeing things in disarray. I guess they just... Because the one in Kazuma's room had fallen over, too. I guess it's just because of the movements of the ship. Oh my! Miss Pavlova's case is open! It's completely empty inside, but according to the great detective's great deduction, she was hiding her special friend in there. Yes, a friend that she had to keep secret, because you're not allowed to bring animals aboard the SS Buria. I wonder what kind of animal she had in there. And more to the point, where is it now? Bop, 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 bop. I wonder what this little saucer is doing on the floor. Yes, it doesn't look like it's been dropped. More like it was put there deliberately. Ah, do you think there could be a leak in the roof just above here? Well, what? A leak? Is this a ship quite safe? I'm sure that even if there's a little leak in the roof, doesn't mean the whole ship is going to sink. No, you're right. Of course you're right. She's really trying to persuade herself, isn't she? It's probably a cat, right? A little saucer of milk. I suppose every cabin has a waste paper basket. Shall we have a little look and see what's been thrown away? Naruhodo-san, it's poor etiquette to go sifting through someone's rubbish, you know. Those eyes. She's looking at me like I'm a piece of rubbish now. However, these are special circumstances, I think. Exactly, we have no choice. There's hardly anything in here at all. Oh, well, that's a little disappointing. The tiara's gone, too. She had the big tiara on the desk. There are just a few books on the desk, nothing else by the looks of it. Well, Miss Pavlova ran away from the ballet last night. She's hardly occupied this cabin for any time at all. That's true. I wonder what kind of books she likes to read. Okay, apparently they just didn't notice the tiara's gone. Let me see. Yes, I see. It would seem that Miss Pavlova enjoys reading books written in Russian. Thanks. I think I probably already knew that. It's rude to ask too much of people, Naruhodo-san. Kindly remember that. Alright, what's over here? It would seem this teapot is empty. So the natural conclusion is that the Russians are a very thirsty people. Or because Miss Pavlova only came into this cabin last night, she hasn't had a chance to make any tea yet? I mean, it could be either. It's definitely that they're excessively thirsty. I'd lay 1,000 to 1 on it. You're rather obstinate, aren't you, Naruhodo-san? We're making a lot of assumptions about Russians today. Is there anything I missed? I don't think so. I think I got everything. Bop. Bop, bop, bop. Yeah, I think I got everything. Oh, she said we need to do a little more investigating. Think perhaps we should investigate more in this area? Oh, okay, thanks. Miss Pavlova's cabin. This could be our chance. What? The burly sailor doesn't appear to be around at the moment. We could investigate every last inch of that cabin. I'm not sure if we could go that far, but we could certainly do with looking around more. I'm sure we could learn something. Did I not investigate everything in here? Oh! Oh! Hi! Hello! What's he bent over like that for? Why is he presenting himself? Excuse me. Oh, it's Mr. Sholmes, look! Wow, you never know where he's going to turn up next, do you? He seems to be stealing a look at something as he sings to himself. Tra-la-la-lee-la-lee-la. I did it the great detective way. He's still singing. Do you think he hasn't noticed us? Or he's simply in extremely high spirits? Yes, there were times, I'm sure you knew, when the yard bit off more than it could chew. And through it all, when there was doubt, it's lucky Herlock was about. This is a really stupid song. Hi, Cascade. Excuse me. I solved it all, and I stood tall. I did it the great detective way. Mr. Sholmes! What is it? You want to fight, Honestly, interrupting a fellow when he's singing, and I was just about to reach the climactic finish. Oh god, he's squared up. Sorry, I thought you were never going to stop, so I figured now is as good a time as any. I very nearly dropped you to the floor with one of my famous right hooks. Alright, I get the picture. Now could you put those fists away? It's kinda placid. Mr. Sholmes, you seem to be examining something before we interrupted you. Ah yes, that. I was immersed in my study of the ship's log, as penned by the stockily built crewman who's usually on guard here. Oh yes, the ship's log. And did you find out anything useful from it? Well, after 2 a.m. this morning, the majority of the entries are blank. Which means that there was nothing to report. Nothing of note happened, so... Ah, Ha 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 ha. You truly are a student from the land of the rising sun. You've been utterly blinded by it. Ah ha ha. Sorry? Your logic, my boy, is inverted. Whatever do you mean, Mr. Sholmes? Observe the other pages and all shall become clear. It would seem the same crewman offstands sentry in the first-class passageway. And he has an almost religious practice of recording nothing to report every half hour. Oh, he writes that in every 30 minutes? Nothing to report? Precisely. Put simply, the seaman writes nothing to report when there is just that. And yet, the ship's log from last night is largely blank. He didn't even write nothing to report. Do you mean... Yes, there were circumstances afoot last night which led to the seaman being absent from his post. What kind of circumstances? What happened? That remains a mystery for now, but we can sure be something significant took place. So significant that it caused the seaman to forget his regular habit of scribing nothing to report in the log. These are important details. I would stake my life on it. You must log the ship's log in your mental file. Ship's log, a record kept by the crew assigned to the very first-class cabin area. There are virtually no entries from 2 a.m. until early this morning. Now that deduction was worthy of a great detective. Ah, you're starting to understand what my way is, I see. What makes Sholmes, Sholmes. Brilliance! Ah ha 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 ha! Ha 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 ha! That's how I imagine he laughs. That's what it sounds like in my head. Ooh, ouch. What is it? Are you hurt? Oh, don't worry yourself. I seem to be afflicted with a throbbing head this morning for some reason, nothing more. Well, my friends, until our next encounter. And then he teleports away. He's still singing to himself. I can hear it as he wanders off down the passageway. Is something wrong, Susato-san? You seem lost in thought. It's just... Well, I feel the same. Sorry? Ever since I woke this morning, I've had something of a headache. A sort of continuous throbbing. Oh, you too? Everybody's complaining about their heads hurting this morning. I feel like somebody, put something in the food that made them all sleep soundly so they wouldn't hear anything that was going on. Because everyone's like, I don't remember what happened last night. And I guess it's because they all fell asleep. The gas? No, I don't think there's any gas. Maybe we should go back in here? Oh, there we go. Ah, what's that? A siren. Shut down the engines immediately. Vessel sighted a quarter-mile fore. Full stop. Hard to starboard. All hands brace for impact. What the? I think we're about to crash into another ship. What? Oh, what? Whoa! I can't stand. Susato, hold on to me. How did this happen? How did they crash into another ship? Susato-san, are you alright? Are you injured at all? I think I'm fine. Thank you, Naruhodo-san. It looks like we avoided a collision. We managed to avoid drowning. I think. Yes, the ship has come to a stop. Oh my goodness, what about you, Naruhodo-san? Are you hurt? No, I'm fine. Uh-oh. Hello, is anybody in there? Shout if you need assistance. Oh, that sounds like... Inspector Hosonaga. Is that you in there, Naruhodo-san? Unbolt the door, quickly. What? The bolt? Oh, it locked. Look at that. The door is bolted. Did you do that, Susato-san? No, I didn't touch it. Well, that's strange. How did... And look at all the books. Oh, see, it's because... The door bolted because they turned so hard. Right? I figured something about the ship moving turned the books, because Kazuma's were the same way in his cabin. They're just like they were before again. Naruhodo-san, aren't you going to open the door and let the inspector in? I'd better try this place up first. Tidy this place up first. But, I don't know. The ship suddenly turning hard enough so that the bolt would slide in place seems like a bad thing for a murderer to rely on. So maybe it was just an accident, a coincidence of some sort. Our violent emergency stop had solved one mystery, at least, in a very vivid way. But I knew what awaited us on the other side of the cabin door would not be pleasant. I hurried around tidying up the cabin with a new sense of foreboding in my heart. Uh-oh. What's happening now? I'm really into this mystery. There's a lot of moving parts. I think the best Ace Attorney mysteries really grab you. They really get you interested. And I think one thing this game is doing really well is making the investigation parts more exciting. Like, there's actually, like, you know, in a regular Ace Attorney game, you would kind of just be investigating, like, a crime scene. But because of the time this game takes place, the crime scene, you know, isn't so organized. And, like, stuff is still happening. You know, it's not all cordoned off. Characters are moving about in the scene of the crime, and also the fact that it's, you know, it's a different type of setting. It's not like up just any place where somebody's died. It's a ship that's still moving. I think it's really interesting. Miss Pavlova's cabin. Somehow, the door to the cabin we were in ended up bolted after we made an emergency stop. Susato-san took a deep breath, then gently slid back the bolt. Yeah, it's very dynamic. That's a good word for it, Ian Abstract. You! What are you doing in Miss Pavlova's quarters? Ah, you're both look unhurt. Good. Yes, we're fine. Thank you. What on earth happened? We heard something about how we were going to collide with another ship. Yes, it appears to have been a false report, though. Oh, how did that happen? There's a dense fog outside, so it's extremely difficult to see. Someone must have thought he saw a ship ahead. Oh. So we're not going the way of the Titanic. That's nice, at least. This person obviously triggered the alarm, and that's why we made an emergency stop. Everything is chaos. Passengers are screaming. Crew are running everywhere. I'll take your word for it, because I didn't see any of that. This first-class area is the only quiet part of the ship at the moment. Oh, I see. Someone triggered the alarm? Does that mean that someone pressed that button outside? You wicked intruder, dressed all in black. You are the devil. Sorry, me? I've been called a lot of things before, but devil is a first. Oh, she took her hat off. You opened my traveling case. How could you? What? No, we didn't touch it. That's right, Miss Pavlova. It was already open when we came into your cabin. Inspector! Yes? No, not that Chaos Pro Tycoon, not the entity. Arrest this man. I know he did it. He is a criminal. Is it not enough that he has killed a man? Ah, and he is stowaway as well. If Vixen promises not to steal chicken, do you believe? Take him away. He is a trespasser as well as everything else. Stowing away, trespassing, killing. She is right. You are a devil. Doesn't look good, does it? There is cell below deck. Throw him in. Tomorrow we dock in Hong Kong. Then we give you straight to police. Wait, a cell? Please, Inspector Hosonaga, is there nothing you can do? This is a Russian vessel. I really have no jurisdiction here. After my last effort to appeal to the captain's good nature, I think I'm out of options. This is terrible. This is a real crisis. I've got to find a solution. Immediately. Oh. But not that immediately. I can just stand here as long as I want, and there's nothing they can do about it. I'm in the frozen time. Ha-ha! You've got yourself into a difficult situation here. By entering this cabin uninvited, I mean. Sorry, I was just so desperate to find a clue. I'm afraid there's really nothing more I can do to help you. If I push my luck any further, a punch to the face will be the least of my worries. I'm really sorry. I have to take responsibility for giving you the freedom to investigate Miss Pavlova's cabin. Now this has happened. I'll have to report to the captain at once. I really needed some help here. I need a savior to rescue me from this crisis. I need a hero! I just need to keep calm and focus on the task at hand, which is investigating. Don't touch my things! You want me to show you where crawfish hibernates? Hi-ya! Wait, why did she throw me? Mr. Naruhodo, what do you think you're doing? Wow, everyone's attacking me, and I was just starting to think she was my friend. Isn't there anyone who can help me out of this mess? Okay. Please, just give me a little more time. I do nothing for you, except show you way to ship's prison cell. Ah, thanks, but no thanks. But I'm innocent. I didn't kill anyone. And trespassing and stowing away? Well, you know, sometimes life can lead you down some unusual avenues and, well... Enough! You are guilty. Ship's cell is the only place fit for you. Come on, there has to be someone, some savior to rescue me from this crisis. Miss Pavlova, can I... Get out! Listen, I'm sorry that we snuck in here without your permission, but... Get out now! We just need to investigate in here to help understand what happened to... I'm yelling Russian! It's no use. She's not going to listen. I need to find someone who will. What? What? Huh? What are you doing? Sir? Hello? What? Hello? Hello? That's not appropriate, sir. What you're doing right now, Mr. Scholz? It's like that one part of Venture Brothers, you know, he's drying himself off. Okay. What the? What are you doing up there? Ah! Mr. Scholz? Looking at you with my special eyes, Mr. Naruhodo. Why is he wearing the tiara? Hang on. Hang on, I gotta do... hang on, I need a second. Anyways, if anyone should have a tiara, it's me. Naturally, I was analyzing what a weight of 20,000 rubles feels like on one's head. Have I not told you that as a detective, it is my business to know what other people do not? This isn't mere tomfoolery, my boy. Oh, no, no. Well, why were you hanging from that hook before then? Isn't it obvious? To properly assess the weight of 20,000 rubles, naturally, I wish to determine if it would bend that conceited-looking hook on the wall so full of bracken bounce. What the fuck? What is this, dude? What is this? Ah! I never know whether to take this man seriously or not. Ah, you again. The great detective. Ah, Inspector. I confess I've been looking for you. I have something to report to you most urgently. Well, you might try looking for me somewhere other than a hook on the wall next time. What is to report? Speak! An urgent report from a great detective can mean but one thing. Yes, the case of the curious murder that took place last night here on this vessel, the steamship Buria, has been solved. By me, naturally. Ah, what? Really? Yes, I have eliminated all other possibilities. No other explanations exist. So, allow me to illuminate all your minds. For I am about to reveal my great detective's greatly admired great deduction to the case. Oh, he's doing it again. He's doing the dance. Ha! You have solved it? Even Hedgehog understands this case. We all knew who was responsible for killing student boy this morning when we found criminal in wardrobe. It is this stowaway, and he has handcuffs to prove it. I didn't do it! The trouble is, there doesn't appear to be anyone else who could have killed the victim. Because, as everyone knows, the cabin door was bolted shut from the inside. That means the culprit must be someone who is inside the cabin. Yes, it's what's called the locked room mystery in detective stories. My favorite. I love locked room mysteries, unironically. People complain about them being overused, but I think they're fun. Nah, locked room. That is point. The room was locked. Well, I can't deny that. There's no way the bolt could have been drawn across from outside the cabin. You're all quite mistaken. The cabin next door is not a so-called locked room at all. What? Oh yes, there is another entrance. An entrance used last night by the culprit in order to gain access to the cabin despite the bolted door. What other entrance? We never discovered one. Why, it gapes open-mouthed at you even as we speak. The ventilator, man. The ventilator? Gah ha 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 ha. You think this is funny? I cannot even put my arm through that hole. That's because your arms are as thick as tree trunks. Yeah, he's a Popeye-looking motherfucker. You're suggesting that the culprit entered and left the victim's cabin through that tiny opening? It's not possible. Ah, but it is. And last night, the victim even witnessed the intruder in the act of passing through the ventilator. Oh, I bet the speckled band Kazuma saw is Pavlova's tiara. She was wearing it, maybe. Mr. Sholmes, do you mean... Are you referring to the words Kazuma-sama wrote in his diary? 1:23 a.m. I can hear a faint whistling sound. 1:35 a.m. What looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. Precisely, my dear madam. But what does it mean? What is this speckled band? The answer to that particular conundrum is in this very cabin. Mr. Sholmes, what are you doing? There is a distinct element of danger, but fear not, I am ready. What I am about to expose for you all to see will shock you to your cores. Behold! What the? Oh god, it is a snake. It's... You know what? I was wondering what the lines were around this dude's face. They look like tan lines. It is a snake. I thought like there would be a snake involved in this case because, you know, the speckled band was originally a story about a snake in Sherlock Holmes. And I thought, oh, the twist will be it isn't a snake this time. Allow me to introduce you all to the band. The speckled band. A snake? Indubitably. Mr. Sholmes, just one thing. Pray, what troubles you? Well, that snake isn't really speckled, is it? It looks more stripy, wouldn't you say? Yes, you're right. I think in this case, you'd have to call it the striped band, wouldn't you? You both see and observe with distinction, however. Do you not think that it is precisely the trap into which the culprit wishes you to fall? Oh my goodness, really? It's a trap? How exactly? I think perhaps it is time I explain the intricacies of my train of thoughts. Are you ready, Miss Pavlova? I'm sorry for the young man who died, but that is all. His death is nothing to do with me. This whole thing is nothing to do with me. There are two conclusions I have drawn from the facts. Number one, last night your friend infiltrated this victim's cabin. And number two, that same friend was responsible for the victim losing his life. No. She's turned as white as a bowl of rice again. Sholmes must be right. He's hit the nail on the head. This young woman's friend killed Mr. Asogi? He's muttering angry things. It looks like he can't speak with that snake coiled around his head. I would advise as little movement as possible, Seaman. You wouldn't want the fangs of that long friend in your neck. So everyone, let us begin. Herlock Sholmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular. The Great Deduction. The game is afoot. Oh, we're doing this again. This is fun. I like this game. Topic 1. Intruder's identity. Miss Pavlova, moments ago you claimed the following. His death is nothing to do with me. This whole thing is nothing to do with me. Yet you cannot deceive yourself. Yes, when you recall these horrid events, your aching heart smarts with pain. And it is that very pain that evidences your inextricable link to the victim's death. So we ask, what was the nature of this intruder that stole into the victim's cabin on the portentous night? Why, naturally, it was the friend with which you boarded this vessel, was it not? Ah, as I suspected, another telltale glance. Without a doubt, your friend is the writhing serpent we see before us. And yet, that fact leaves us in a quandary. It's like trying to get him. The victim's written observations on the night in question tell of a speckled band. Whereas, regrettably, this specimen's markings do not fit that description in any way. What explanation can we then give, pray? What was this sight that fell upon the victim's eyes last night? Oh, she's trying to hide something. No! Don't look at me! This has nothing to do with any of this! Oh, but it does. You have the answer to this quandary even now, hidden behind your back. Aha. Yes, that which you are trying, but failing, to conceal can only be the snake's soft skin. Evidently, after the subtle and horrible crime, this most deadly friend of yours shed its original skin. No? I don't know what you are talking about. Last night, through the ventilator visible in this cabin, your thin speckled friend slid the next door. I don't think that's how snakes work. If they shed their skin, they don't get, like, completely new spots. Using the bell cord on the other side as a bridge, the serpent silently descended into the victim's quarters. In the dim light, it appeared the young gentleman who was about to lose his life as a speckled band. I love Sholmes' animations. Yeah, they're funny. In summary, the nature of this friend of yours, which last night infiltrated the scene of the crime, is a rare breed of snake whose markings change each time it sloughs its skin. A snake so dreadful, we can only imagine it would be found in the deepest depths of India. Conclusion: a beloved speckled snake. Topic 2. How Mr. Asogi died. Moving on, we come to the heart of the matter, the grim demise of the victim. How is he doing that? You got a projector in here? How did this young man lose his life, and why? According to the data of which I have been appraised, it would appear that there were no visible signs of injury. In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by a terrible venom. That's not true. They didn't find any... They didn't find any, poison in them. Now, if we take that as facts... Spree, we can reasonably imagine that there remains evidence to affirm it at the scene of the crime. Oh no, could there be? Yes, an examination of the deceased's body will prove the cause of death conclusively. The almost, but not quite, imperceptibly puncture wounds left by the venomous fangs will seal the truth. Yes, the vestiges of the snake bite delivered by your terrifying friend. This makes no sense. There is no point feigning ignorance, Miss Pavlova. After the incident, you endeavored to hide everything, didn't you? But now your involuntary glance betrays the hiding place you chose. That's right, you hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in that traveling case. When we first met in this cabin, it came to my attention that your case moved periodically. No, don't take me into your Sherlock Mind Palace, your Herlock Mind Palace. I want to go back to the chess dimension from Investigations 2. I don't know if this Sholmes is smart enough to play chess. He would be like the one eating the pieces. Your serpent assassin was restless inside, no doubt. You don't... It is telling that the victim made note of a low whistling sound that he heard minutes before his end. That was your signal, was it not? The sound you would use to train your serpent friend. To train? The chess dimension was really good. I like that mechanic from Investigations 2. Indeed, you'd put the serpent through this ventilator and wait. After a period, you'd summon it back with a whistle. You couldn't know if the animal had done its duty, so you would listen for signs of life next door. If the victim appeared to not have been dispatched, you'd release the snake once more. Do you deny the snake has undergone such training? It's not true. Having slithered through the ventilator and down the bell cord, the creature needed only to sink its fangs in once. And its venom could course through the victim's veins, ending his existence forever. That is the true nature of the speckled band that took the poor young man's life. There can be no doubt, my logic is infallible. Conclusion: death by a venomous snake's bite. Thus concludes Sherlock Holmes' great deduction of the speckled band. They all seem so surprised. Miss Pavlova has trained her pet snake as a killing machine. There on the floor, you will observe a sauce of milk. The promise of food is the key to training any creature. I don't think snakes drink milk, dude. Incredible! You've solved the mystery. Amazing. Your great deduction really lives up to its name. I see now why Sherlock Holmes has become such a household name. My dear man, it was nothing remarkable. As the Russians say, I could have done it with one left hand. I don't think that's real. Could I venture an opinion, Mr. Sholmes? But of course. What's on your mind? It's just about your deductions before. Some things don't quite make sense to me. I welcome questions as to my method, and will answer both loudly and proudly. Oh, well, good. First of all, snakes are egg-laying creatures, part of the reptile family. You are well informed, madam. And reptiles, don't drink milk. Ah! It's really only mammals that like to drink milk, you see. So, I'm not sure it would be possible to train a snake using milk as a reward. No matter. No doubt Miss Pavlova used some other threat to encourage her pet to do her bidding. Oh, not threat, treat. Milk was merely an example. The logic holds. Well, there is something else. Snakes have no ears. Ah! Yes, so I'm not sure it would really be possible to signal to a snake by whistling. You know, that's a good question. I know snakes don't have ears, but do they have a sense of hearing? Like, they got little tiny ear holes, don't they? I thought I read that somewhere. But madam, what of the tales from Arabia? Have you not heard of the snakes that dance to the sounds of a flute? I think perhaps the performers play their music in time with the snake's natural movements. Oh, I see. No hands, no feet, no ears. Those creatures are so inept as to be practically useless. Don't take it out on the snakes, Mr. Sholmes. There is one other thing. You have more? Snakes use the scales on their bellies to propel themselves. So, I'm not really sure that a snake could manage to climb up a flat bell cord like the ones in these cabins. Yeah, snakes can't... Then it should try harder! Snakes can't really climb up stuff, I don't think. Please, don't be angry with me, Mr. Sholmes. The point is, even if the snake had gone through the ventilator to the next door cabin, it couldn't have come back without help. What I'm trying to say is that there are a number of reasons why it's difficult to imagine the snake could have had a part in this. Snakes can climb rigid poles like trees? Oh. Yeah, but the bell cord is like a big... You can see it over there in the corner. It's a cloth. It wouldn't have supported the snake, I don't think. He looks so sad! Snakes do, in fact, hear things. Looking it up. Thank you. Thank you for informing me. I was curious. Like, I remember reading snakes have, like, tiny ear holes. Like, not ears, just, like, little holes on the side of their head. I didn't know if that meant they had a sense of hearing, though. I think... We need to step in and help again, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, no, you don't mean... Yes, we need to modify Mr. Sholmes' latest seductions and turn them into the great ones they ought to be. I had a feeling that was coming. Alright, let's give it a try. Just what I was waiting for, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, right. So, cast your eyes down to your wrists again. What? I keep forgetting. They need to take his shackles off so he can do the funny dance and pointing. Sholmes takes his shackles off just so he can do the animations. You've done it again. Your handcuffs are gone. Where did they go? Fear not. I shall see they're restored after our work is done. I really wish you'd leave them off. Now, everyone, let us begin. Herlock Sholmes is proud to present his Logic and Reasoning Spectacular. Course correction. Hold it, Mr. Sholmes. His death has nothing to do with me. So every time, like, an exclamation point is when Sholmes is right. A question mark is when he's off base. Yeah. See? She does have a pained expression on her face. Yes, that's true. She looks as though Kazuma-sama's death is weighing heavily on her mind. But you're not sure Mr. Sholmes has read her quite correctly, is that it? Could there be some other way to interpret her expression, then? Let's take a moment and really look very closely at Miss Pavlova. I gotta remember I can rotate stuff. I keep forgetting I can do that. Aha!
Yes!
I kept forgetting the last time I did this that I can actually rotate stuff. We exist in three-dimensional space this time. Yes, when you recall those horrid events, the claw scratch smarts with pain. Indeed, and simple observation reveals that the wound is fresh. Miss Pavlova, did you in fact receive that scratch sometime last night? Ah! I don't think the snake is her pet. When I think about the young man who died next door, I feel so sad. And when I am sad, the pain from this wound is worse. Speed? And it is that very pain that evidences your inextricable link to this victim's death. So we ask, what was the nature of this intruder that stole into the victim's cabin on that portentous night? The friend, yeah. I don't think it's a snake, though. Yeah, nope. It seems likely that the scratch mark on the back of Miss Pavlova's hand was made by this friend of hers, doesn't it? Except, snakes don't have claws, do they? No, they don't. They don't even have hands or feet on which claws might grow. Well then, if that snake isn't her pet, what is? What's the true identity of this friend of hers? We should follow her gaze, Naruhodo-san. Then that's where we'll find the answer. Yeah, she isn't even looking at this guy. Oh my god. I was investigating this room earlier and it didn't let us look slightly behind the teapot.
Yes!
Oh. I had to investigate the frame first. You were looking at... yeah. But let's not be distracted by the print itself. Oh no. It's the frame that is your friend, isn't it? Because it so beautifully displays whatever you put inside it. What spectacularly contrived logic led you to this mindless conclusion? Oh, well, it's supposed to be a logic and reasoning spectacular, so I thought I'd contribute to the show. I have to investigate it first. I misclicked. Sorry, Mr. Sholmes. Aw, kitty. Aw, look at the photograph in this frame. This must be something Miss Pavlova brought with her when she ran away. She is exceptionally beautiful, isn't she? Yes, that's true, but personally, it's the little black creature she's holding that's caught my eye. Maybe we'd better take a closer look at this. Hey, look! I bet if we saw this picture in color, we'd see that this bell thing is what was in the room with the scuff mark. Look at the little cat Miss Pavlova is cuddling here. Oh, what a cute little kitten. It could vie with you, couldn't it, Naruhodo-san? For the blackest outfit. Oh god, I thought she was gonna compare him to a cat and we'd have some funny posts in chat. Huh, a black kitten. And from the look of this picture, at least, Miss Pavlova seems very attached to it.
Yes!
There we go. That was right. Without doubt, your friend is the little kitten we see before us. Yes, the scratch on the back of your hand makes that abundantly clear. Oh no. The whereabouts of this black kitten isn't clear, but what is clear is that you brought the animal with you when you ran away, didn't you? Ah! Daka is my best friend. I couldn't leave her behind. Daka would appear to be a Russian blue. And yet, the fact leaves us in quandary. The victim keeps trying to get him. The victim's written observations on the night in question tell of a speckled band, whereas regrettably, this specimen's markings do not fit that description in any way. Right, he's gonna talk about the snakeskin now. Yeah, the snakeskin. I don't... It's certainly curious that she even has it. Unless that's not snakeskin. It could be something else. Like, maybe I'm missing something. Did you see that? She just took something out of her pocket and hid it behind her back. If she'd just left it in her pocket, no one would ever have known. Oh yes, ploys like that are Mr. Sholmes' specialty. He's ever so cleverly forced her to reveal something. I thought deduction was his specialty, or maybe making me believe that was a ploy too. Anyway, I find it hard to believe that's the skin of a snake. In which case, just what is Miss Pavlova hiding behind her back? Let's take a look. Ooh, hang on. There we go. Oh, I see. It's a cat toy? Well, it is speckled, and it is a band, but what is it? It seems to be soft and fluffy. A long piece of cloth of some sort. Yeah, it's the, you know, you wave it in front of the cat's face and they try to get it. They try to claw at it. And that looks like a handle at one end. Yeah, you can like wiggle this in front of ours and he'll go nuts. I think might be a cat's toy. This is sort of a common in the West, apparently. How is that a toy for cats? Cats like to chase the band around in pod. Kittens in particular love that sort of play. You only need to wave it in front of them and they pounce to catch it. Haha, that sounds positively adorable. There we go.
Yes!
Yes, the thing you were trying, but failing, to conceal is, a cat's toy. Precisely, and the true nature of the now infamous speckled band. Ah! And it was this toy that you dangled through the ventilator. You waved it around, I presume. Naturally, the victim could not fail to notice it. But why? For what reason? My dear boy, there can be only one answer to that. After her feline friend disappeared through the ventilator in the neighboring cabin, Miss Pavlova attempted to use the speckled cat's toy to incite the creature to return. Ah. In summary, the nature of this friend of Miss Pavlova's, which last night infiltrated the scene of the crime, is a blithesome Russian blue breed of cat by the name of Darka. Owned. We owned her literally with facts and logic. A truly troublesome feline, young Darka is proving to be. She must be caged once found. You will forgive us for borrowing the photograph of your pet, Miss Pavlova. Photograph of Miss Pavlova and her friend, a kitten named Darka. The tiara she would wear on stage can also be seen. It was after I gave her food last night. That's when it happened. She scratched the back of my hand, and then ran up the bell cord. Before I could do anything, she had disappeared through the ventilator. Darka, she is so naughty. Cats are just awful like that, I know. The conclusion, a beloved kitten. Well, it's obviously not a snake bite. Moving on, we come to the heart of the matter, the grim demise of the victim. Yeah, not a snake bite, Sholmes. You're off track. What Mr. Sholmes says is true. There were no signs of a wound anywhere on Kazuma-sama's body. That's right, but Mr. Sholmes seems to be unaware of one very important detail. Kazuma wasn't poisoned. Yes, it would seem so. Let's give him the information he's missing now. Here we go.
Yes!
The report, the autopsy report. In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by the post-mortem report. Ah yes, I knew it was one or the other. Okay. Sure. His neck was... Indeed, the breaking of the cervical vertebrae is fatal. Only the Goliath would be strong enough to survive that. Seaman Stroganov isn't some immortal freak, you know. Oh, he even does the thing in this mode. I didn't expect to see that animation outside of court. It's so funny. The jury is out. Anyway, we have on good authority that the victim's neck was broken. Now, if we take that as facts, we can reasonably imagine that there remains evidence to affirm it at the scene of the crime. Oh no, could there be? Yes, an examination of the deceased body will prove the cause of death conclusively. Kazuma died because his neck was broken. In other words, he was probably struck by something or someone. Yes, that's a distinct possibility. As of yet, no weapon has been found, though. Presumably, Darka didn't silently creep up behind Kazuma and deal him a fatal blow. Yeah, cats, they aren't that strong. Cats are pretty weak, actually. I do not think this cat could just, like, karate chop him and kill the man instantly. I suppose it's possible that he had a fall and hit the ground awkwardly. It could have been a terrible act of misfortune that he broke his neck completely by accident. Oh, yes, a bad fall could explain it. It's rather hard to believe of Kazuma-sama, though. He wasn't a clumsy man. Well, we need to fix this deduction somehow. Is there anything from the scene that could explain what happened? Let's see. Probably this, right? He did fall. Like, maybe the scuff mark would imply he fell.
Yes!
Yes, an examination of the mark on the floor will prove the cause of death conclusively. This particular mark, so prominently visible next to the victim's body, is a deposit of shoe polish. Yeah, exactly, in abstract. I pointed that out earlier. I was curious about what that bell shape was the whole time, and then we saw it in the picture of the cat. Shoe polish? Indeed. Positively identified by a little analysis device I constructed, which I carry now as a matter of course. Beeswax, tallow, and dye were my results. The undeniable ingredients of shoe polish. He's got a whole forensics kit on him? And the color of the polish is a perfect match to the color of Mr. Asogi's lace leather shoes. Looking at this mark, it's not hard to imagine what happened. For some reason, Mr. Asogi must have caught his foot at the point on the floor and tripped. Tripped. Please, no. And, by a dreadful turn of misfortune, caught his neck against some immovable object as he fell to the floor. Suffering a fatal blow to the spine, the victim's vertebrae shattered, and in that instant, he lost his life. No! I don't know. I don't know anything about this. Is that really true, Miss Pavlova? What about the evidence left at the scene where Mr. Asogi lost his life? Yes, the facts are clear as day to me. You did all you could to conceal the incriminating evidence. But now your involuntary glance betrays the hiding place you chose. That's right, you hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in that traveling case. I don't believe it. Kazuma-sama merely tripped over and now he's no more? It can't be true. I refuse to accept it. I know it's hard to believe, but the mark on the floor does seem to suggest that's what happened. An accident? Really? It's not murder? Is there not... Is this just this case? The whole... Like, there's no courtroom segment to this? If it's true, of course. But... And if this part of Mr. Sholmes' deduction is right, Miss Pavlova is trying to hide some evidence that would prove it. Here in this cabin, somewhere in the direction that she just cast her eyes. Where, I wonder? Let's have a good look around. The answer must be here somewhere. Tiara. It must be the tiara, then.
Yes!
Or not. No, that's wrong. You tried to hide the evidence in plain sight, didn't you? It's this tiara! Oh, don't give me that wide-eyed, incredulous stare. I know the truth. That 20,000 rubles is enough to make anyone lose their head. That deduction was wanting in every way. Yes, I was wanting you to hear it. I'm quite proud of it. I find myself wanting never to have heard it. I'm quite pained by it, in fact. Oh, sorry. I'll try again. It's a funny little back and forth. We like the banter here. I still can't bring myself to believe it. It just seems so unlike Kazuma-sama to stumble carelessly and then fall to his death. I know it's hard to believe, but the mark on the floor does seem to suggest that's what happened. But I have a feeling there's something here in this cabin that links Miss Pavlova to the mark. And I suspect we'll find in the direction that she so guiltily cast her eyes before. Maybe there's a bottle of shoe polish? The only other thing here is the basket.
Yes!
Oh, no, that's wrong too. Okay, I gotta investigate more thoroughly, I think. Perhaps I should have examined it. Yeah, okay. Regardless. Okay, I have to examine it more. I keep forgetting I have to examine stuff more. Okay. What's in here? This is a waste paper basket. Perhaps all the first-class cabins have them. But Miss Pavlova only started occupying this cabin late last night. Presumably there's not much rubbish in here yet. Oh, but there's the other half of the bell. Oh, what's that? It's a broken piece of glass, isn't it? Yes, it is. And I feel like I've seen it somewhere before. If it looks familiar, perhaps it's more than your mind simply playing tricks on you. Can I present it now? This is where Miss Pavlova hid her friend. That's right. And it wasn't a snake after all. No, it was that little kitten she calls Darka. Not that it's anywhere to be seen now. It seems to have let itself out of the case and gone exploring. I expected it's wrapped itself around someone's head somewhere trying to make a new friend. Either that or it's scratching their hand to pieces. The point is, where has it got to? Ah, somebody appears to have dropped 20,000 rubles here. It hasn't been dropped, Naruto-san. It's been placed. I'm starting to sound like Mr. Sholmes. Stop trying to sound like the great detective. Okay, now let's present it. Alright, now we're okay. Even the game was like, you should have examined it first, idiot. That's right, you hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in the waste paper basket. Ah. Here we have a fragment of some intricate glass object, it would seem. One that has a familiar air, in fact. Precisely. We found another piece of broken glass on the floor in Mr. Asogi's cabin. And, as you can see, the two pieces fit together perfectly. Oh no. So, Miss Pavlova, shall we consider what this tells us? Why would it be that part of this glass object, which was evidently broken at the scene of the victim's death, should be found in the waste paper basket in your cabin? You're well acquainted with this glass bell, are you not? I don't know, and that hushed Russian accent of yours won't save you this time, dear girl. Why? Because we have conclusive evidence linking you to the bell in question. What? Take it away, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes. The evidence linking Miss Pavlova and the little glass bell, that would be, the photo.
Yes!
If you look at this photograph, you can clearly see, hanging from Darka's collar, the very glass bell in question. The truth has caught up with you, Miss Pavlova. The young man who lost his life last night did so after a truly inauspicious fall. And the cause of that fateful stumble? Look at them go. Your absent feline friend, Darka. Is there not going to be a trial part of this? I thought this was all, like, the investigation, and then they get back on land and do the trial, like a regular Ace Attorney game. But is this it? Is this the answer? I couldn't tell anyone. I am sorry. Death by tripping over a cat. Deduction complete. Elementary. Is that really how our boyfriend died? Why didn't you tell us now, Miss Pavlova? Tell us exactly what happened last night. It was a little after 1 in the morning. It was so late, but I hadn't had time to feed Daka, so I gave her some food. Ours has claimed another. Oh no. I think Ars has some morals. He would never kill a pretty gay man. And then, all of a sudden, she scratched me and jumped out of my hands. People do say that cats become very anxious and nervous in new environments. He died as he lived, tripping over pussy. She was so fast. She disappeared through the ventilator before I could stop her. And that is how you acquired the rather nasty wound on the back of your hand, I take it. Yes, and I had read the, rules on the wall. I knew that I was not allowed Daka with me. Yes, modern science suggests that animals can carry infectious diseases. It's a precaution, really. So I listened and listened, trying to hear if there was some noise in the next cabin. It was very quiet. I was sure if someone was there, he must be sleeping. So at that point, you thought it safe to try to lure the kitten back again? By dangling the end of the toy through the ventilator into the adjoining cabin. Daka always loves this toy, but it didn't work. Nothing worked. I tried using her favorite toy. I tried whistling to her softly, but nothing. She didn't return. So the faint whistling sound Kazuma wrote about in his diary was Miss Pavlova trying to retrieve her pet. Cats have a propensity to remain hidden in the shadows when frightened. Yes, so there was nothing else I could do. I just had to wait until she had calmed down. But then... Is that really how Kazuma died? He just tripped? I nearly passed out with shock. I heard her cry out, and then... Oh, it was such a dreadful bang. Then afterwards, nothing. It was totally silent. Kazuma was... From the appearance of the brown mark on the floor, it seems likely that what you heard was the victim stepping on the glass bill and tripping up. The SS Buria is a large vessel, but even she can pitch and roll violently without warning. If Mr. Asogi was already off balance as a result of the ship lurching when the kitten got under his feet, the combination of unfortunate factors could easily have caused him to fall over. This is really... I don't want to say silly, but it seems wild to just kill off Kazuma like that, in this way. Not even a dramatic murder like Mia? But what became of the kitten afterwards? In the end, I managed to get her to come back to the ventilator. Yet Daka is nowhere to be seen. I must have forgotten to lock my case, and now she's disappeared again. Gracious, that cat is insufferably restless as I am. Well, he knows something about himself, at least. When I woke this morning, I heard that a young man in the next cabin, the cabin next to mine, had died. But I couldn't bring myself to tell anyone what had happened. But wait, that doesn't explain the writing on the floor. I was too scared. Scared that they would send me back. Oh, hold on a minute. What about the snake? You're right. Where is it? If that snake isn't your friend, Miss Pavlova, then whose is it, and where did it come from? Oh, it's his, of course. What on earth is such a dangerous creature doing aboard this ship? Oh, I didn't say. Snake is my friend. His name is Pirosko. Hmm? What? What? That snake belongs to you? He escaped from cage when emergency alarm sounded. I was looking for him. I did not expect to find him in here. Yes, how did that snake get into this cabin? But animals are not permitted on board. Ha! We are at sea for 1 year. You want to be so long without close friend? Without someone who understands? Couldn't you find someone a little more human? Who understands you better? But my dear burly fellow, a gargantuan venomous snake? Surely you can appreciate the danger you're putting everyone in. No venom. Pirosco does not have venom. He is harmless, very long, but very gentle. He is adorable, like Granny. It's venomless? Yes. Now he is hungry, so he is in bad mood. But once I feed him, you'll see big smile. That's true, the snake doesn't have fangs. We've seen it open its mouth. It doesn't have any fangs. And you feed him what? Milk, I suppose? Ha! Like they say they milk chickens? Ridiculous. Snakes that drink milk are only in stupid stories. Pirosco eats mouses. Big, fat, round mouses. Ah. Oh, so... is that what the mousetrap in the passageway out there is for? Of course! How else can I catch my friend's favorite food? Nothing says top of the food chain like the look in their eyes right now. You broke him. He was wrong about literally everything. It refuses to drink milk, it can't hear a whistle, it can't climb up a bell cord, and it's not even venomous. How the deuce did something so inept land a starring role? It's not my fault, I do not make up stories. My Pirosco has nothing to do with this incident. So that's what happened. That's the truth behind my best friend's tragic death. But again, still doesn't explain the writing on the floor, or the fact that no one can remember what happened last night, and everybody woke up with headaches. There's something more going on, I'm sure. Miss Pavlova. I understand the difficult situation you found yourself in, and I do sympathize. Yeah, maybe there's an overarching mystery going on, but please remember this. Like, there's obviously something more at play here. A young man lost his life. If you're going to attempt to cover up your guilt with lies, then no matter what the circumstances, I cannot forgive you. But, what are you talking about, Miss Mikatova? What lies? Miss Pavlova just confessed everything. It was just a series of unfortunate events. An accident. Oh, I love those books. He's got a mysterious smile on. I'm no great detective like Mr. Sholmes. I don't have a gift for knowing the truth. But even I can see that was not the truth. Don't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo? To be perfectly honest, yes. There's a discrepancy in Miss Pavlova's story, I'm sure of it. I just can't quite put my finger on it. And Sholmes isn't saying anything, because he likes pretending. He's like that one panel of Jonathan. Not Jonathan, Joseph. I was merely pretending to be silly. I was intending to let Scotland Yard deal with any outstanding issues on this matter. Oh. I mean, our next stop is Hong Kong. I don't think Scotland Yard has any jurisdiction there. I am only present here for a very specific reason. The truth is, you, Mr. Naruhodo, are simply a distraction. A distraction? I do hope you've not been finding your shackles too uncomfortable. Oh, he put them back on. Ah, not again. When did he do that? Especially as they're on your wrists as a result of my intervention. Oh yeah, I guess Hong Kong would still be a British colony, huh? I don't know if Scotland Yard was ever there in Hong Kong, though. It might have been like a different... I don't know. I'm not going to think about it too hard. I was rather hoping I could resolve matters before we made our next port call. You were Mr. Sholmes? Sorry, I should inflect that differently. You were Mr. Sholmes? Yes, but I overlooked one important detail. The deceased young man was a very close companion of yours. Scotland Yard is like... I think it's like a national police force. I think it's kind of like the FBI, maybe? Like a very early version of the FBI. Something like that. It's a federal police force instead of a regional one. I think. The deceased young man was a very... Okay, I already read that. Was he not? Yes. Cosmo was my closest friend. I owed him my freedom, even. Ah, Caskin knows. Caskin, do you live in the UK? Is that true? It's like a federal police force? In that case, we must follow this to its conclusion. No further distractions. You must uncover the real truth here, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, whatever that may be. The key to this is the discrepancy in Miss Pavlova's story, I'm sure. If I can chase that down, maybe the truth will become clear. Kazuma's on my back and in my heart. The truth about how you really died. About how that scene in your cabin really came to be. Alright. I'll see what I can do. Excellent. Scotland Yard is primarily a London thing? Oh, okay. So, that's interesting. Maybe I'll look it up later, but, maybe Scotland Yard wouldn't be in Hong Kong at the time, then. Thank you, Mr. Naruhodo. So then, shall we begin? Yes! What we should ponder first is the victim who lost his life in a cabin that was bolted shut from the inside. Was this truly an unfortunate accident, or was it in fact no accident at all? That is what we must establish in the first instance. Scotland Yard is apparently named after the entrance to their original headquarters, according to Wikipedia. Oh, okay, like, you would go through the Scotland Yard, okay. Their yard, literally their yard, I see. But we've already established it, haven't we? The man tripped over the kitten that had just climbed into his cabin via the ventilator. Tragic, yes, but still an accident.
Hold it!
Wait, let's just take a step back. Doesn't make sense if that's really what happened, does it? I'm going to have to ask you to spell it out for me, I'm afraid. Yes, it's starting to take shape now. There's a clear contradiction between the facts and Miss Pavlova's story here. The evidence is right there in Kazuma's cabin. It's undeniable. His death couldn't possibly have been a mere accident. Really? Let us show our hand, Mr. Naruhodo. Time to present the evidence. The evidence that proves unequivocally that the victim's death was no mere accident. It's gotta be this.
Yes!
The truth is clearly recorded in this photographic print. There's no way that Mr. Asogi could have left this message on the floor. That script, it's Russian, isn't it? Indeed it is. The word written means wardrobe. I see what you mean. Most people would leave a dying message in their native tongue. Japanese in this case. But maybe he was studying Russian. It is a simple language. He could have picked it up very fast. That doesn't seem likely. That's actually not the point. It makes no difference whether he knew Russian or not. Sorry, what do you mean? Exactly what I said before. There is no way that Mr. Asogi could have left this message on the floor. And the reason why is clearly explained in here. Damage to the cervical vertebrae resulting in instant death. Instant death. Ah! That's right, he was already dead. Someone else left the message. Which means, after the victim fell to the floor, he couldn't have possibly written anything. Because he was already dead. That's not the only reason either. There's something else we found in Mr. Asogi's cabin. A remnant of something that couldn't possibly have been there if that's what what Miss Pavlova told us were true. What? So, Suzato-san has noticed it too, then. They were called Scotland Yard at this point in time, because Sholmes mentioned it earlier, but also I remember from the original Sherlock stories, Holmes had a friend in Scotland Yard. He was Inspector, I think you pronounce it Latrobe. He was in Scotland Yard. Holmes's police buddy, his friend in the police force was a member of Scotland Yard. After putting the message on the floor aside, there's something else that gives the truth away. Another piece of evidence that proves this was no accident. In other words... This, right? Right, because Ryunosuke... No, wait, no, hang on. It just proves that Ryunosuke was in there the whole time. Let me examine. Alright, let's just give this a try.
Yes!
What point are you trying? Oh, Esmake. I was wrong. If what happened was no accident, what we should be looking for is one of two things. Either the absence of something you would expect to find at the scene of an accident, or the presence of something you wouldn't. Most compendously put, my dear madam. Ah, I see. I confess your rather languid "I see" doesn't fill me with confidence, Mr. Naruhodo. Don't worry, Mr. Naruhodo, I believe in you. Well, more than Mr. Sholmes does, anyways. Yes, it's starting to take shape. Okay. Another piece of evidence. Okay. That's right. He stepped... Yeah, that bell must be it. He stepped on the bell and it broke, but somehow the other half got into the trash. Right? It got into Pavlova's trash. How did it get from the room that was locked into her room?
Yes!
Exactly. This piece of broken glass next to the mark on the floor. But that's the glass bell the kitten had around its neck. We already know all about that. It was broken in half when the victim tripped over the cat and fell. So we already have a satisfactory explanation. Where's the flaw in that logic? Unfortunately, there is a very big flaw. A fatal flaw. What? If that's really what happened, then how did one half of the bell end up back here in this cabin? Ah. Yes, remember that we found the other half of the glass bell in the waste paper basket. Would you care to explain that, Miss Pavlova? Oh no. Both these pieces of evidence clearly point to the same conclusion. That when Mr. Asogi died last night in his cabin, there was someone else in the room. And that same person deliberately arranged the scene to disguise the truth, in order to cover up his or her own guilt. Yeah. Yes, there was someone else present in Mr. Asogi's...
Hold it!
Well, who's holding it now? You are wasting time. Someone else was there? Da, of course, we know this. What are you talking about? Bulkhead was bolted shut from inside. There was no way in or out. Oh, yes. And only other person in cabin when young student died was you.
Yes!
It's true. I was in the cabin when it happened. You were shut inside the cabin wardrobe, to be precise about the details. But I don't know Russian. There's no way I could have left that message. Not would have. There's no way you could have left the message. To be precise about the details, would you mind? Ah ha 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 ha! Forgive me, my dear fellow. As I was saying... Yeah, it's Ryunosuke's turn, Sholmes. Come on, let me have the moment. The person in question wrote the word wardrobe in Russian on the floor, in an attempt to incriminate me for the crime, even though I had been asleep in there the entire time. And then, the same person picked up the broken glass bell that had fallen to the floor, for fear of becoming evidence that would show how Mr. Asogi really died. But why wouldn't this person have taken all the pieces of the bell anyway? Leaving half behind was always going to raise the questions. Yes, well, it was past 1 o'clock in the early hours of the morning. The cabin would have been quite dark. The single small lamp suspended from the ceiling would have barely cast any light on the floor there. Little wonder, then, that the culprit failed to notice a fragment of the tiny item. You all suspect me, don't you? Ah, he's here to defend her. Tier 3 sub, Stroganov. Nina is woman of sea. She is daughter of strong sailor. 2 years ago, they noticed her dancing skills and she went away to join ballet company. But before, she was dancer on this ship, a member of ship's band. You do not accuse ship's angel of being criminal. Ah, so that's it. You say that when young student died, Nina was there in his cabin. But that is not possible. I give my tooth. Well, this is almost interesting. And why would you give your tooth, pray? How can you be so sure? You are a great detective. You should know. Look truth in eyes. Cabin bulkhead was bolted shut from inside. Nobody could go into cabin. Not Nina, not anyone. Or you want to tell me that killer can walk through locked doors? Нет, it's impossible. Ah, he's right. But wait, I've read about this in detective stories. People often tie thread around door latches so they can open and close them from the outside. Thread? Are you stupid? These bulkheads are not barn doors. Certainly not. They are watertight doors, as one would expect to find on any modern steamship. Constructed of heavy steel with not a gap in sight, no threads or needles or magnets could have been used. No, of course not. I thought so too. But Mr. Naruhodo suggested it earlier, so... Suzato-san, how could you shift it onto me like that? So, Seaman Stroganov has a valid point. The cabin door couldn't have been bolted shut from the outside. Not necessarily. What? I put it to you that I could bolt this cabin door without laying a finger on it. And in this very cabin, we can see the traces of the method I have in mind being used before. I don't believe it. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, I believe you know what I mean, don't you? A way to shut the bolt of the cabin door from the outside? One way does spring to mind, yes. Do you really know that, Mr. Sholmes means, Mr. Naruhodo? It's earlier, when the ship tilted and the door lock slid closed and all the books fell over. Yes, and so should you, because we've seen it happen. Indeed we have. So, would you care to do the honors, Mr. Naruhodo? Point out the telling signs of the method that was used to slide the cabin door bolt across from the outside. Of course. Here we go.
Yes!
Look at the bookcase there. See how all the books and things on it have toppled over? That must have happened when the ship made its emergency stop before. Yes, that's right. It's a very powerful vessel, after all. When the engines are thrown into reverse, a violent jolt goes across the entire ship. Any small objects that aren't fastened down are bound to fall over. I believe... Yes, it's what's known as the force of inertia, acting on the objects. Is there nothing Suzato-san doesn't know? Or that isn't in her book, at least. Well, whatever it's called, the same force that pushed over these books on this bookcase also made something else in this cabin move. The bolt on the cabin door. Ah, it was very obvious just after the emergency stop the ship made earlier. We had come into this cabin not long before, and we hadn't bolted the door. But then... Oh, yeah, that's right, earlier. Oh, yes! That's it! When the ship stopped suddenly, the bolt flew across and locked the door. Yes, it made of metal, but it's small and light enough to be moved by the ship's sudden change of speed. Or the force of inertia, if you want to call it that. Are you trying to say that last night, after Mr. Asogi was killed... There it goes. Yeah, just like that. The SS Buria made another emergency stop? When I woke up this morning and looked around the cabin, I thought it looked a little odd. All the books on the shelves had toppled over, and all the ornaments. It was almost as if someone had run their hand across the shelves and deliberately knocked everything over. Oh yes, I remember that. And I stood them all up again, didn't I? Then, when we came into this cabin, we were surprised to see the same thing in here. All the books and everything had toppled over, just like in Mr. Asogi's cabin. Oh my. Do you have anything to say about this, Miss Pavlova? Are you out of your mind? You say Buria made emergency stop? It does seem a little far-fetched. How could that possibly have happened? Unless you're saying that the culprit is actually someone from the engine room? Oh, it is simple enough. Are you forgetting the button in the passageway outside? Used to trigger the emergency alarm. Oh yes, of course. There was a notice, wasn't there, telling you only to press the button in times of emergency. On dark nights when the fog is dense, the captain cannot afford to rely on the eyes of his lookout alone. Hence the placement of a number of buttons around the vessel to allow any crewman to raise the alarm. A sort of button one is almost compelled to press to satisfy one's curiosity. Oh, he's looking away. We got him. Wait, it was you? When the button is pressed, two things happen in the interest of safety. The emergency alarm bell rings and the vessel comes to a complete stop. As indeed it did a little earlier today. Oh, he pressed the button earlier. That's why we found him right outside in the hallway earlier. Mr. Sholmes, surely it wasn't you who... As I always say, a button has but one purpose in life. To be pressed, whatever the occasion. He sounds almost proud of himself. How dare you mess with ship? I report you to Captain. You're in much trouble now. Now, I'm sure all that can wait until later. Let us not overlook the fact that we have now learnt a valuable lesson. When the vessel makes an emergency stop, the bolts on the cabin doors slide closed. So, what we must now consider... Yes, it all comes down to one thing now. Last night, after what happened to Mr. Asogi, did this ship make an emergency stop, or did it not? Yeah, Sholmes is literally just like a child running around. You are idiots. Buria is a huge ship with many passengers. If we make an emergency stop, even in middle of nights, there would be chaos everywhere. What are your thoughts, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, it's certainly possible that some kind of emergency happened last night. We have evidence to support that idea. Really? What evidence, Mr. Naruhodo? That's literally what you did when you were 12 in an airport? You pressed the... Did you pull the fire alarm? Who here pulled the fire alarm in school? I bet one of you did. Fascinating. Do show us, my good man. What evidence promotes the theory that some emergency gripped this vessel last night? The big book. The ship's log. Because all the entries are blank after a certain point.
Yes!
Seaman Stroganoff. It's your duty to patrol the first-class area of the ship, isn't that right? Ah, that is correct. Why? And the ship's log here. This will be where you record the details of your duties. What are you doing with that? That is mine! Ah, you rather carelessly left it atop the little makeshift burrow in the passageway out there. You had a roommate in college who got kicked out because he pulled the fire alarm like every other night in one of the doors. Did he really think it was that funny? Every night? Wow. But as responsible passengers, we took it into our care with a mind to return it to you later. I left it there on purpose. That is where I put it always. The point is, looking at what you usually record, it's clear that under normal circumstances, you write the phrase nothing to report every 30 minutes. But from 2 o'clock last night until first light this morning, nothing was recorded at all. Nothing recorded in the log? That is, duh, because nothing happened. But if nothing happened, you would normally write nothing to report, wouldn't you? Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. Indeed so, which tells us that shortly after 2 a.m., something happened, here aboard the SS Buria. Something sufficiently significant to make you forget to fill in the ship's log, in fact. Are you suggesting that the ship really did make an emergency stop in the middle of the night? Stop talking rubbish! If I'm perfectly honest, I find that a little hard to believe myself. Oh, why? Well, because if something as major as an emergency stop really happened, surely all of us would have noticed. That's very true. Thanks to the emergency stop we experienced earlier, we all know what it feels like now. The ship lurched so violently, and the alarm bell was so loud. I can't imagine that anybody would sleep through that, even if it had happened in the dead of night. Well, no, that's a good point. What of the throbbing? Wow, Sholmes, hey, there's a time and a place, man. Don't talk about your throbbing right now. Hey, this really isn't the place, dude. Time and a place, my friend. Time and a place. Sorry, what do you mean? Your head, man. The throbbing of your head since this morning. We've all suffered with it. Ah. Oh, yes. I have had a headache, you're right. In fact, I haven't been feeling myself since I woke up today. Nor have I. My head has been feeling heavy ever since dawn. Yes, you've all been afflicted, haven't you? Just as I suspected. He's right. My head's been throbbing today, too. It's the first thing Ryunosuke noted when he woke up. And since eating dinner yesterday evening, everything has felt sort of hazy. I can't really remember anything that happened after I climbed back inside the wardrobe. Then, the first thing I noticed this morning was the throbbing pain in my head. Yeah, see? I noticed this earlier, too. Everybody was talking about how their head hurt, and nobody remembers what happened in the dead of night. I had already been dragged out of the wardrobe, and had those handcuffs put on me by that point. Why didn't I wake up when all that was happening to me? Tell me, Mr. Naruhodo, you boarded this vessel as a stowaway, didn't you? Oh, well, yes. Sorry. The stowaway class of accommodation doesn't usually include meals. What did you survive on? Well, Kazuma looked after me. He was always happy to share his meals. So you enjoyed some of the whole roast chicken dish that we served yesterday evening, I take it? Yes, in fact, I had all of that. Kazuma wasn't fond of chicken. Oh, really? So the victim didn't eat any of the chicken at all? That's right. He didn't touch it. Is that relevant? Because he wouldn't have been knocked out. Kazuma was up late last night. Remember? His diary notes, like, around almost 2 a.m. And by that time, everybody was knocked out. My dear fellow, does that not strike you? Oh, Mr. Sholmes, do you mean to say That there was something wrong with the chicken? I do. No. Really? Is that really true? The meal prepared for the passengers last night had been tampered with. Tampered with by the addition of soporific, designed to induce a very deep slumber in those who had consumed it. A sleeping drug? Do you mean whoever did this laced every meal with a sleeping drug so no one would notice the ship's emergency stop? Mr. Naruhodo, of course that's not what Mr. Sholmes means. What a far-fetched idea. Precisely. Lacing every meal of every passenger on board with a soporific drug would certainly be impossible. Unless, that is, every single member of the crew was a conspirator. What? Mr. Sholmes? Well, Seaman. Of course. The girl, the ballet girl, said she came onto the ship late last night, but no one remembers making a port stop. I'm sorry to say that any more deception in this matter will get you nowhere. If you refuse to talk, there would have to be an inquiry made through the shipping company, of course. And were that to happen, every member of the crew, and the captain himself, would be hauled over the coals for aiding and abetting a renegade. Yeah, they all helped her run away from the ballet company. Please, no more. I will tell everything. Eh? I cannot make problems like this for everyone anymore. These crewmen of are your former comrades, I believe. Yeah, she said she was the daughter of one of the crew, and she hung out on the ship before she joined the ballet company. She would dance for them, and they loved her. Yes, so when I decided to run away, I asked them to help me. We all agreed to help, everyone together. She threw away everything, her fame in the ballet, Mother Russia. We wanted to help our angel. I don't believe it. You are right. We put sleeping drug in chicken last night. Yes. Oh, sorry. Yes, I remember now. I did notice chewing on a lump of something strange and bitter at one point. We could not make all drug. How do you say, dissolve? Talk about heavy seasoning. At midnight, in waters near Shanghai, we brought our angels on board. She was helped by comrade on shore with small fishing boat. While all the passengers of the SS Buria slept soundly, thanks to the almost magical effects of the slumber-introducing potion their evening meals had contained. So, if that's what happened, the only people awake on the ship last night were the crew, people who disliked chicken, and the newly boarded passenger, Miss Pavlova. And that means it would have been impossible. That means it would have been possible for you. You could have used the emergency stop trick to lock Kazuma's cabin door. But how does that make sense? Surely every cabin door would have ended up locked in that case, and there would have been complete chaos. Oh, I wouldn't say so. What? Of course. Just like us, all the other passengers would have eaten their evening meal of chicken in their cabins, after which they would have been overwhelmed by tiredness because of the sleeping drug. Quite. And accordingly, all passengers were already in their cabins for the night. Yes. The overwhelming majority of passengers would have habitually sleep with their cabins doors bolted anyway, and so not one of them would have found it remarkable to find the door locked in the morning. In summary, in order to fasten the bolt of a single cabin door on the ship, the culprit brought the entire vessel to an emergency stop in the early hours of the morning. So, she could have gone into the room to hide the accident, if it really was an accident. I don't know what motive she would have to intentionally kill Kazuma. You have talked long time and said many things. What is point? The point is what I have said earlier. There was somebody else present on the scene when the victim lost his life last night. Someone who left a message in Russian on the floor in an attempt to incriminate another. Someone who tried desperately to hide the broken fragments of glass that would reveal the culprit's identity. And someone who abused the ship's emergency stop procedure in order to lock a door. All told, a busy night. But... I don't know about any of this. I am just a little girl. You like to speak with your long English words and explain your clever ideas. But I am Sailor, and sailors don't listen to long, boring stories we don't believe. Sailors like me, we trust only what we see with our eyes. A laudable traits. What? I am quite of the same disposition, my good man. Observation to me is everything. Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, yes. Do you hear it? That accusatory cry of guilt on the wind? What accusatory cry of guilt? Sorry, you've lost me. Proof of involvement, man. But you can't hear such a call with your ears. No. You must hear it with your eyes, for observation is the basis of all deduction. What are you talking about? I believe the time has come. For one final logic and reasoning spectacular to expose the truth. So, Mr. Naruhodo, your assistance if you please. With what exactly, Mr. Sholmes? With observation, my dear fellow, just as I said. Of these two I've never heard that word, prevaricators. Observation. If you remember, Mr. Naruhodo, we know that somebody tried to fabricate evidence, don't we? By tampering with the scene of Mr. Asogi's death. What we're looking for is some trace of evidence that one of these two were there when it happened. Precisely. You're delightfully quick to grasp my meaning. Alright, I'll see what I can see. So we're looking for a trace of evidence that shows someone else was there the night when Cosma died. Ah, the ink!
Yes!
Seaman Stroganov, you seem to have quite a large purple stain on the back of your white uniform there. Eh? Yes, I don't know where the dirt comes from. So nothing in particular comes to mind about the stain? What are you trying to say? It would appear that the significance of the stain has escaped your attention, Seaman. Allow us to make it plain. It's a very large purple stain on the back of Seaman Stroganov's uniform, and I think that what made it clear. Indeed it is. So, Mr. Naruhodo, present the evidence that proves it. My pleasure. Alright then, the evidence that proves that the stain on the back of the Seaman Stroganov's uniform really is...
Yes!
Yeah, because he wrote it in purple ink. The same one that was in the room. Yes, it's this photograph, and the ink it shows. That's what caused the stain on your uniform. Ink. A rather unusual color of ink, purple. Ah! Ah, the penny drops, at last. Now you see the significance. The Russian word on the floor next to the victim's body was written in purple ink. And the stain on the back of your uniform is ink of exactly the same color. If the ink had been dry, it couldn't possibly have stained your uniform in that way. Which means... you must have been present in the cabin, in the moments immediately after the ink was spilt. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. Alright, yes, it was me. I did it. Everything. I arranged everything in Dead Student's cabin to make it look like Wardrobe Man did it. Then I pressed button to make Buria do emergency stop and bolt cabin door shut. I did everything so no one would suspect our angel. Biff, please. Don't worry, Angel. Let me do talking. It was after 1 in morning. I was on duty, patrolling passageway. Then our angel came to me. She was white like sheets. Biff, please, you must help me. I went with her. The door to cabin number 1 was open. When I look inside, I saw student boy on floor. What happened here? Please, don't tell anyone. My little one, my little furry friend. Everything that happened in cabin is like Angel told you. So it was still an accident. What a ridiculous series of accidents. The kitten escaped through the ventilator into Mr. Asogi's cabin. Then he tripped over it and broke his neck when he fell on the floor. Yes, that is right. So after the incident when the cat ran away, Miss Pavlova then visited the cabin next to hers, only to find its occupant lying lifeless on the floor. She said she was worried when she heard sound of something falling on floor. That's when she went to look. No, Angel? The door was not locked, so she opened to look, and you already know what happened after. There's just one thing. If you wouldn't mind? What? When you went to Mr. Asogi's cabin, Miss Pavlova, was he already dead? Why? I already told you. When Nina opened door of student's cabin and looked inside, I was asking Miss Pavlova. Oh. Well, Miss Pavlova? Da. Oh. Yes, that is right. I saw him. It was dark, and he was wearing black, but he was on the floor, not moving. I was scared. I understand, and I believe you. So it really was an accident. So is that finally it now? Have we discovered the real truth about Kazuma's death at last? Ah, something very nearly slipped my mind. Oh, Mr. Sholmes? This photograph. Yes, I took this myself, you know. The cause of death was a broken neck. Therefore, the victim died instantly. And the unfortunate incident that precipitated these events? A kitten on which the victim stumbled. However, if those are the facts, there is one particular area in this photograph that seems to me somewhat unnatural. What do you mean, unnatural? What are your thoughts on the matter, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, well... It's the fact that he's, like, pointing like he wrote it with his finger. They must have moved his body. If Kazuma tripped and fell by some terrible stroke of bad luck and broke his neck, which part of this photograph print seems unnatural? It must be this, right? That he's pointing?
Yes!
This word in Russian... Oh, I accidentally... Clearly wasn't written by Kazuma. So if you're looking for something unnatural, that's the obvious point. Very true. It is certainly peculiar, but it's not what I meant by unnatural, I'm afraid. That particularly crass detail was orchestrated by the culprit. I mean to identify another point. Oh, I see. Imagine, if you will, losing your footing yourself. In my opinion, if you landed as the victim appears to have done here, it would be almost unnatural. I'm sure you'll reach the same conclusion. How thoughtful you are, Mr. Sholmes. Thank you for your gentle guidance. Oh. So the game was like, we're not gonna penalize you for that when you're on the right track. I'm gonna point at his hand.
Yes!
Oh, come on. When nothing a crucial point, it can be helped to keep your eyes open. I'm trying to point at his finger. Oh, maybe that's true, Ian Abstract. Maybe I'm on the wrong track here. Yeah, it said the impact was to the back of his neck? Oh, see? I was right. It is his hand. You look like the sort of fellow who stumbles with some regularity. This should be an easy task. Why do I? I'm trying to point at his hand. Oh, the other hand, maybe? In a fist? Okay, well, let's try it.
Yes!
Alright, if he really fell due to an unfortunate accident, then this fist just doesn't seem quite right. Oh, I guess we were just supposed to assume that they moved his body to look like he had written it. The exact same thought occurred to me. In a fall, one's instinct is to open the palms flat. Yet here we see the victim with his left hand tightly balled into a fist. Almost, you might say, as though he were gripping something. What do you mean? Simply that I took the liberty of investigating the victim's fist a short while ago. You did? And what, pray, do you imagine I found there, my dear fellow? Mr. Sholmes, show us, please. Yeah, what was he holding? Why, of course, my dear madam. Would I keep you in suspense? I think he would. He likes... Oh. This is what I found. It's one of her earrings. Oh, a crescent moon with a little gemstone in the middle. So he wasn't dead when she was in there. Yes, you're right. A crescent moon. It's very pretty, but what does it tell us? Huh. It tells us nothing. I'm not so sure. That crescent moon looks... It looks familiar somehow. I'm sure I've seen it somewhere before. Observation, Mr. Naruhodo. That is the key. What? The truth is now tantalizingly close. How did that crescent moon come to be in Kazuma's clenched fist? This is the final clue, the last piece of the puzzle. Ask yourself, what does this little crescent moon mean? What significance has it? And observe. Find the answer with your own eyes. Oh, I can go up. There we go.
Yes!
Yeah, it's one of her earrings. I noticed them before. Miss Pavlova, on your ear there. I see you have a crescent moon as well. Ah! What? And on your other ear, there seems to be a crescent moon missing. The little link holding it on must have been broken, I suppose. Now, the missing crescent moon was found in the victim's clenched fist. Clearly, there's only one logical conclusion. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes. Miss Pavlova, Mr. Asogi must have grasped that crescent moon and pulled it from your ear, perhaps just moments before he fell to the floor. In other words, last night, in Mr. Asogi's cabin, you witnessed the moment when the victim fell with your own eyes. In fact, you were quite literally at arm's length from him. Oh. Maybe, I don't think she killed him on purpose, maybe, but she was there when it happened. But then the question is, why did Mr. Asogi do that? Why did he pull your earring from your ear and hold it in his clenched fist during his final moments? Oh, no. Angel? No one can protect you now. Please, Miss Pavlova, tell us the truth. Last night, what did you do to Kazuma? Oh, that was Nyet again. It just looked like H-E. She was calling me a het. Don't do that. It's not true. It's false. When I think about everything that happened yesterday, it was too much. Running away, the fishing boat in the middle of the night, trying to climb onto this huge ship, and then, when I was at last in this cabin and I could relax after this horrible long day... Daka, wait! I couldn't believe it when she disappeared through the ventilator. I tried to call her with a little whistle. I tried waving her favorite toy, but nothing worked. Darka would not come back. What are you doing in here at this time of night, Inspector? Oh. I'm sorry. I thought it was a friend of mine. The young man from your country. He was very polite and kind. He helped me to find Darka, and he promised not to tell anyone. But then, when I had my friend in my arms again and I was going to leave the man's cabin... Just a moment. Sorry, but... Oh, yes? I'm sure I know your face. I've seen you somewhere before. Oh my god, did she really kill him just because he might recognize her? Ah! Ah, of course. You're Nikolina Pavlova, aren't you? The Russian ballerina. Huh? No, I don't know that name. My heart nearly stopped when he said that. He knew who I was. How could this man from a land in the faraway east know a Russian ballerina? Yes, I saw your performance in Japan. The beauty of the ballet made a deep impression on me. But what are you doing on this ship? I'm sure I read that your ballet company was performing in Shanghai at the moment. I can fool him. I have to tell him the truth and hope he doesn't tell anyone. I have no other choice. I see. So you've run away. Please, please keep my secret. Don't tell anyone. Give me a moment. I could use another opinion here. Aww. He's going to pull that cord. He's going to tell the captain. Why did I think I could trust him? Oh man, she really did kill him. Maybe on accident. But she like shoved him and he died. Then it happened, everything at once. It was only a second, but it felt like forever. Wait, I shouted, and then... Oh, okay, so it was still an accident. I was thinking too evilly. Sorry. Darka jumped out of my arms and down to the young man's feet. And... as he turned around to look at me... Oh. Oh. They didn't... The bed frame, huh? I pushed him. Oh, she did push him. I don't even know why. I don't know why I did it. I was just so scared. And I had to stop him from telling anyone about me. And that's when you went to fetch help? From Seaman Stroganov, who was on duty in the passageway. I heard Nina cry out. Yeah, he fell because she pushed him from the front and hit the back of his neck on the bedpost and it killed him. And thud on floor, so I ran to her. She was standing at cabin door shaking like leaf. She looked at me and said, "Help me, Biff. If they find out, I will be... Please, I have nowhere to go." So you decided to help. And that's when you arranged things in Cosmo's cabin to make it look like I did it. So that no one would suspect the passenger in the cabin next door? Yes. I went into cabin and I looked around to make sure there was nothing to show Nina was there. And then I found Stowaway, in wardrobe, still sleeping. Right, that's when he found me. So you worked out a plan, to lay the blame on the Stowaway. I closed wardrobe doors and put back strange paper sign. Luckily for me, that's the only reason Susato-san started to believe me when I said I was innocent. I dragged young man's body to good place and used ink that was spilling to right floor. I wrote Russian so that person who found him would look inside wardrobe and find Stowaway. And to tell me, what of the glass bell? It was by my feet, so I picked it up. I see. But it was dark in the cabin. I didn't notice the other half. Then Angel went back to her cabin, and I finished job. By pressing the emergency alarm button in the passageway? Yes. Accordingly, the SS Buria did indeed come to an emergency halt at a little after 2 a.m., thus enticing the bolt on the cabin door to slide shut, creating the locked room mystery. There's still one thing I don't understand, Miss Pavlova. What? Well, you said that you told Cosmo about the fact that you'd run away from your homeland, and it's because you were worried he was going to tell you, the captain, that you pushed him. Isn't that right? Yes. But even if you had pulled the bell cord and called for the captain of the ship, aren't you friends with every member of the crew? Why would that have been a problem? It was what he said at first that made me scared. What he said first? What are you doing here at this time of night, Inspector? Oh, she thought he was gonna get Hosanaga. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was a friend of mine. He said an inspector was his friend. Ah, yes, meaning me, who was supposed to be acting as his bodyguard. I thought that if police knew about me, they would arrest me. So before he could pull the bell cord, I... May I stop you a moment, please, Miss Pavlova? She sure murdered the fuck out of Kazuba. Like, holy hell. I mean, it wasn't premeditated, I guess, but geez. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, was Mr. Asogi really going to pull the bell cord? I don't know. What? What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, I'm not Kazuma, so I can't know for certain, but... he was a man of his word. If he told you he wouldn't give your secret away, then he wouldn't have done. No, he was walking over to it. He was going to pull the cord. He was going to make them send me back. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, the day's work is not yet done, it seems. There is one more deduction to make. What? Another deduction? Yes. What reaction was the victim really about to take at that moment? Can we determine whether the young man's gaze was directed? Aww. This is really sweet. You get one last look at him. First, consider the victim's location within his cabin. That's easy. I remember every detail of that room. I mean, yes, I spent quite a lot of time in the wardrobe, but still. That cabin has been my home for this entire voyage. So this is how the cabin looked last night when Miss Pavlova visited Kazuma-sama? Yes, it's exactly how it was. Are you ready then, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes! If there's one thing I've learned today, it's that a simple gaze can reveal all manner of truths. And not only that, in order to draw the right conclusion, you can't afford to be out by even a little bit when you're following the gaze to where it lands. So, when he turned away from Miss Pavlova, what exactly was Kazuma looking at? It's obvious, isn't it?
Take that!
Considering everything that had happened in last night, certainly it may have looked as though Kazuma was going to ring the bell cord. Yes, however... what is directly besides the bell cord? The wardrobe. The wardrobe? And more importantly, what was inside the wardrobe? The man's great friend, sleeping soundly. Ah! Miss Pavlova, please, think back very carefully. What were Mr. Asogi's exact words last night? Give me a moment. I could use another opinion here. Another opinion? Yes, but not from a member of the crew. No, Mr. Asogi attended to consult his close friend on the matter. To see if, between them, they might be able to help him in some way, no doubt. Oh, no. Sadly, we can't know the truth for certain now. It's too late for that. But I wish you had made sure of what Mr. Asogi was looking at. Things may have ended very differently, if you had. Miss Pavlova, I want to thank you for finally admitting the truth. But, unfortunately, you did murder the fuck out of that guy. The truth is, a man lost his life because of what you did, and that will never change. I hope you'll never forget that. I'm sorry. Really, I'm so sorry. What have I done? And so, at long last, the mystery surrounding the tragic accident on the SS Buria was finally laid to rest. Man, what a tragedy. At first I thought it being an accident was kind of silly, but now it's kind of sad. Especially with the music. What will happen to Miss Pavlova now then? Once we reach Great Britain, she'll be handed over to the British police at Scotland Yard. What about the fact that she ran away from Russia? Won't the Russians try to repatriate her? Apparently, the English detective can speak to the immigration office and sort all that out. Mr. Scholz can do that? So she won't be going back to Russia then? No, I don't think so. Even if she wanted to return in the future, I doubt she would be able to. She ran away, so now she's in exile for life. I see. I don't know if that's how Russia worked at the time, but okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Seaman Stroganoff. I wanted to help our angel, no matter what. But I didn't think about you, about how you lost good friend. I will go with Nina. I will give myself to British police. That's kind of you. In the meantime, thank you for letting me go free again. Kazuma's death feels like such a waste, but... Well, do what you can for Miss Pavlova, won't you? Da. Well, I'm afraid you need to pack now. We're due to arrive in Hong Kong tomorrow. As much as it pains me, I'm going to have to hand you over to the consul to arrange your passage back to Japan. Yes, I did stow away after all. I couldn't really expect any different. So, you should get back to your cabin now. But I thought we were going to jolly old England! It looks like my study tour to Great Britain is over before it even begun then. To think that only days ago, Kazuma and I were laughing together about how we tear up the streets of London. That seems like a distant memory now. Oh, what's that? Is it someone weeping? Oh, yeah, that makes sense. She's had a hard time of it too. Susato-san? Naruhodo-san, I didn't know you had returned. Oh, well, I haven't been back long. Inspector Hosonaga just told me I should pack, you know, ready to leave the ship tomorrow and all that. Oh no, her eyes, they're glistening. I still can't believe this has happened. I can't believe someone's life could be over just like that. Susato-san. Yeah, they really did Mia him. He had such grand ideas for this visit to Great Britain, so many dreams, and now they've been cruelly taken away, just as he has. I thought I could never forgive the person responsible. But now we know the truth, that it was just an accident, just a silly series of mishaps. It's too much, Naruhodo-san. It's just too much. Yes, I know. I wish there was something I could say. Inspector, my duty was to see Asogi-san safely to Great Britain, but I failed, and caused his two closest friends great pain and suffering as a result. Hi, Joda Brandon. Well, we're just wrapping up this case. It went well. We got the criminal, more or less. I've let everyone down, and I will do anything to make up for my terrible blunder. Nobody blames you, Inspector. And I'm free again now, at least. Huh? Ah ha 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 ha! Surprise, Mr. Naruhodo? What in the meaning of this? Oh, a trifling matter. Simply that in my head, I think I shall always picture you wearing those shackles. Without them, the balance seems all wrong. It's distracting. Sorry? So I decided to restore them, for old time's sake, shall we say. You are a stowaway, after all. Ah ha 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 ha! He thinks this is funny? This dude is coked out of his mind at all times. Mr. Sholmes. We do appreciate all your assistance. I'd like to thank you, from the bottom of my heart. Not at all, not at all. And though it's a little late, may I offer my sincere condolences? The loss of your companion is truly heartrending. I hope that you'll be able to fulfill some of his aspirations in his honor. I'm afraid that won't be possible. We shall be disembarking at the next port, in Hong Kong. We have to return to Japan and make a full report about everything that's happened. What? Wait a minute. It's just me that has to go back, isn't it? I mean, I was the stowaway. The terms of this study tour were negotiated by the Department of Justice in both Great Britain and Japan. It was to be one lawyer and one assistant. Was to be. In light of Mr. Asogi's unfortunate death, I'm afraid that the study tour can no longer go ahead. Oh no. I don't care for me, but... Poor Susato-san. My dear fellows, the majority of problems have an extremely simple solution, you know. All you require is one lawyer, and the study tour can continue, surely. But there is no one else with the necessary qualifications, Mr. Sholmes. We know of no other lawyer. Qualifications, you say? Any qualifications obtained in your own country will be of little value in Great Britain, I'm afraid. Oh, but anyway, the voyage to London still promises a good month of time. Ample opportunity, I would say, to find yourselves another suitable lawyer. Yes. Miss Susato? Yes? Do you think perhaps I might be able to do it? Ah, but you're not a lawyer, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, unless... Are you studying law? No, I'm not, but... I'm sorry, in that case, I don't think there's even a chance it could work. But as I said, there is still more than a month before we reach England's shores. Isn't that right, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, I have a month in which to study, to learn what I must to become a lawyer in Great Britain. Mr. Naruhodo, that's ridiculous. Are you seriously suggesting anybody could learn all of that in just 40 days? There's only one way to find out. I would work my fingers to the bone, Inspector, every single day. Will you let me try? And if, by the time we reach Great Britain, I haven't learned enough to be recognized as a lawyer, I'll take whatever punishment is deemed appropriate. But, why put yourself in such a difficult position? For Kazuma, he said that there was something he had to do in Great Britain, and that he would sacrifice anything to make it happen. He was passionate about it. I can't let all that passion just come to nothing. And anyway, it's for my own benefit, too. Yeah, I wonder if it was like some big secret of Kazuma's that he was going there to learn about. I wonder if we'll find out. I will become a lawyer. I have to. What do you say, Miss Susato? A big smile for me. I think it's a wonderful idea. Thank you. So, what does our bespectacled inspector friend say? Are you serious? One lawyer and one assistant. The numbers are indisputable. No, it's madness, yet fascinating, wouldn't you agree? Fascinating? Duty and rules are the dull routine of existence that we all abhor. Give us interest, give us fascination. Speak for yourself. Besides, qualifications are no measure of a man. What matters is his character, no? And you've witnessed ample evidence of this man's exemplary character today with your own eyes. From the early hours of this morning until this moment now. This is stupid, yes, it's stupid, but in an interesting way. From the early hours of this morning until this very moment now. Despite contending with the passing of this close companion, and despite the accusation of guilt, this man has shown resourcefulness, intelligence, and above all, courage. It's true. Ryunosuke is actually pretty cool. Very well. I'll think of a clever way to word my report to the Department of Justice. Inspector! After all, I did just make a promise, didn't I? I said that I'd do anything at all to make up for my shortcomings here. Oh, thank you, Inspector. If you'll excuse me, I must pay a visit to the captain's quarters, I think. I need to discuss what to do next, and how best to make my report. Are you really prepared to attempt this, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, I'm going to try. I wonder, would you consider teaching me what I need to know? Everything about being a lawyer? I would be delighted to help you. I am a judicial assistant after all. Thank you. And, Mr. Naruhodo? I'd like you to take charge of this. What? Me? Are you sure? You know, it's funny, there's that one rule about how they're not allowed to bring dangerous objects onto the ship, but I don't think Kazuma cared. You know, it's his katana, it's very important. I'm sure it's what Kazuma-sama would have wanted. Its name is Karuma. It's a great sword that's been in the Asogi clan for generations. Very well. I accept. I'll treasure it, always. So then, Miss Susato, it seems we'll be working together for some time to come yet. It will be an honor, Mr. Naruhodo. And for the next 40 days, I shan't grant you a single minute of freedom. We shall fill every spare moment with study. Yes, that's exactly what I need. But, before we begin, I have an earnest favor to ask of you, too. Goodness, what is it? Please, throw me to the ground. 3 times. Oh, is this because of how many times Shijudo threw us? What? I should never have doubted you. You were Kazuma-sama's closest friend. Of course you would never have done anything to hurt him. That should have been obvious to me from the start. But I allowed suspicion to get the better of me. And no matter how upset I was feeling, it was completely unforgivable behavior. No, you were in shock. You just found out about me stowing away, and the cabin door was locked from the inside. No! I won't let you make excuses for me. Whatever the circumstances, I should never have thrown you, and not just once, but 5 times. That number keeps creeping up, doesn't it? Please, you must. Just take hold of me and throw me. Do it! Don't even think about it. No, I don't even know how. I've never thrown anyone in my life. Very wise, Mr. Naruhodo. It isn't a skill one acquires without considerable training. Oh, Mr. Sholmes. I observed your throwing technique several times with great interest. I confessed I was most impressed. When did he see that? Were you spying on me, Mr. Sholmes? Are you a purveyor of weirdness? I presume that would be a form of Japanese wrestling. Oh, well, in a way, it's not wrestling, but my own interpretation of an ancient jujutsu technique. Oh, it's jujitsu, okay. Apparently it's called the Suzato takedown. It leaves your head swimming, believe me. How beguiling. I am a practitioner of the combative arts myself. I'm a somewhat accomplished boxer. There he goes, dancing around again. I wonder if you'd be so kind as instruct me on the technique of your arresting throw. Yes, I'd be honored. Then let us not dally. Demonstrate, my dear madam. Oh, of course. No, not on me, not on me. Are you ready, Mr. Naruhodo? Sorry? Hi-ya! As you can see, you throw from the abdomen. Oh yes, arresting indeed. And that is what you term the Suzato takedown, is it? Actually, no. That was a Suzato squash. How many of these does she have? Predictable. You will die. In my groggy state of consciousness, a scene from an evening recently spent with Kazuma flickered in my mind. Oh god, he's gonna stab me. Karuma? That's right. It's a prized sword that's been passed down through generations of the Asogi clan. I can't believe you managed to get permission to bring it with you. I mean, taking a katana on a study tour is more than a little irregular, surely. A Japanese man's sword is his soul, Ryunosuke. I can't be parted from my katana. Karuma guides me. I truly believe that. So its name compels its wielder to slice evil in two? Not that you would need much compelling. On that subject, there's something very important that I have to do in Great Britain. And I'll sacrifice anything to make it happen. I'd appreciate you seeing it through with me. Of course I will. Whatever it is, I'll see it through to the end with you. I knew you wouldn't let me down. Aww. That important thing he had to do. I still don't know what that was. But I'm going to see the place for myself and work it out. In Great Britain's capital, London. I really like the scenes with that. That last scene is really cute, and the little inspection we did of him where we saw where he's looking. That's really sweet. We need to take Winston Churchill's head. Unfortunately, this is a little before his time, I think. I don't know when Winston Churchill was born, actually. I guess he would be alive early 1900s. We need to get him before he gets India. Wow. Yeah, he was a World War I veteran, that's true. Okay, well, that ended up being a really cool case. I expected it to be like, okay, this is the investigation part, and then you go to the trial part, like every other Ace Attorney game, but it really changed stuff up, and I liked it a lot. It was a lot more like, well, a Sherlock Holmes story where he just solves the case on the scene. And that was really fun. And it ended up being way more interesting than I thought. So, tomorrow we're playing more Lost Planet 2 with the boys. And next week we'll continue the Great Ace Attorney for sure. So look forward to it. I'm really loving this game. I'm super into it. Definitely some fantastic writing. I love it so much. And I can't wait for more. So I'll see you all then, minions. Ho ho!